right, shalom to you guys that are watching today live, studying with me live today. And for those who are studying later, this study will be uploaded, of course, on Instagram and the YouTube for your convenience. But shalom to you. Shalom. Make sure you have your words, some notes, highlighters, whatever you use. Because, of course, we will go in depth. That always is the goal. And, yeah, and if you ever wanted to, you guys ever need some notes or ask me for some of the slides that you see, peace, shalom. If you ever see anything that you would want to look over, just always message me. I have no problem sending it. Any questions, anything like that. I'm a little under the weather, just a little bit. So, of course, my voice is going to be a little off. But without further ado, y'all, let's go ahead and pray in. Yeah, we'll pray in and then we'll go ahead and get started. Dear Abba, we just thank you just for another study, another day, another time to be able to grow in your word. We ask that your word not just settle. We ask that your word settles in good soil, into our heart, into our mind, into our ruach, into our spirit. We ask that you continue to purify us, to discipline us, to remove the ways that are not of you, and to put your ways into our heart, put your ways into our mind, into our body, into our functioning, into our for our spirit, for our ruach to be able to live out your ways in our life, and for us to be able to access you at all times as much as possible and be as consistent as possible in your ways. We ask that today, allow us to reflect, allow us to remove the things that are not of you, that we see that we are doing, or that we can refine and add into the things that we are currently walking in truth. We ask that that you just speak through me, Abba, that as I'm studying with my brothers and sisters, that I'm learning as well from you, but that we ultimately focus on your word and your word alone, and what this has to do with our life, making our election sure. And we ask that you just forgive us now, Abba, and remove the things that are hindering us from learning or hindering us from truly absorbing what needs to be absorbed today, according to your will. And we thank you, Messiah, for just what you've done for us and being able to guide us and being able to provide us for your word. Provide us your word and your understanding and your wisdom that you'll be allowing us to learn today. And we just thank you so much just for this time. And we give you all the praise, glory, and honor in the name of your Son, Abba, we pray. Amen. Amen. And we are ready. All right, y'all. So welcome to another study. This one is called Making Your Election Sure, with a main title or subtitle, if you want to say, The Fruits of Wisdom. All right. So I've done some studies on wisdom before, but how vast wisdom is and how unlimited it is when you're studying it and just learning and understanding what it's about. It's no way to just not have, like, you're never not going to access wisdom. if you're truly trying to walk in the truth and truly seeking more understanding, wisdom is always supposed to be there. And when it comes down to just the way we speak, especially in this community, this Torah community, which a lot of people will access this type of community because they're leaving, modern Christianity or Catholicism or whatever it may be. And it's supposed to be a safe haven in a sense where you're like, oh, well, I got all these other people who are, in the truth and walking now, trying to discover more of the Hebrew roots and unfortunately, you do find problems. You do find problems in this community. You do find issues where you would find them in the regular church. So it's the same, but it's different. And we're going to really see today really what wisdom has to do with our election, which means the Most High choosing us, or let's just say judging you, hopefully as righteous one day. We know that we have two judgments that are possible for us. It's either going to be unrighteous or righteous. And our goal, obviously, is to be judged as righteous so that we can be with the Son and be with the Father in eternal life, right? And that's our ultimate goal. And so the way that we walk in this walk, when you first get to this truth, you find a lot of people pushing a lot of information at you, right? You find a lot of people kind of like, okay, you just came out of this church and now here's the law, here's the commandments. You got to, do the commandments. You got to make sure that you understand that the Son came not to abolish the law and et cetera, right? So you have these generic connections that you'll get when you come to this community, but where's the true wisdom? Where's the true mercy? Where's the heart of the matter? Where's the character of the Most High? And that continues to just not really be like shared as much because it's always this like, it's either you have some type of gatekeeping where you have to say this specific word, you have to say this specific name, or you have this way of sharing information where people are like, well, I have all this knowledge. You should follow my page and I'm the only one who can get this revelation or this, because I'm sharing all this as much as I am and no one else is doing this like I am or whatever it is, and then you have, of course, connections with different people and people are sharing different stuff. So, you get to this community and you see something and it's like you're almost like choosing. You're choosing which style to walk in. You're choosing which name to use. And based off of that, you get to go a certain route, right? And it's just terrible. That's not how this walk is supposed to be. That's really not how the Most High designed it at all. And it's just unfortunate. However, hopefully this study will help us kind of understand a little bit more of what our election actually entails when it comes down to how we're supposed to look at our walk and actually absorb the understanding of what we're supposed to be doing every single day and why we're walking the actual narrow road, right? So I hope that was kind of like an introduction, just a little bit, just to the one of the main reasons why we're studying this. And it's just really unfortunate. And I was going through a lot of just spiritual attacks, and it's not easy to, deliver these type of messages and expect for me to just be like, peacefully free, because I have to also be a doer of this word, right? And even more so because I'm actually speaking it, as teachers will be judged harshly, and I don't even sit there and egotistically or have an ego to say, oh, I'm a teacher, but I know what the gift that the Most High has given me. But at the end of the day, I am a servant. I am the lowest, right? And I'm humbly grateful for that, right? Because this is such a small platform in a sense of like, this is a great platform, but it can be easily taken away. So, I want to do my best to make sure I'm locked in to be able to do what I can to be a mouthpiece or just, learn from you guys and connect. But it's not easy. It's not easy, having to really be a doer of the word like this. And of course, I go through spiritual attacks, my family and I. But, within it, you get discipline. You get discipline, and he tells you, he really molds you. I mean, man, he will mold you if you're really wanting to be molded. So, he gave me this word. I'm just like, man, like it was literally, it's a massive missing piece, especially in this community, that you do not really get, especially as a new people who are coming into this truth. The way that we're supposed to be walking and learning and growing. I mean, you'd be surprised as many people have hit me up and shared just some struggles because of just this community alone, the things that is being projected and being shared and things like that, where it's just like, it's a lot, it's not really an actual flow, to where how we're supposed to be walking. So hopefully today, this will be something that we can all use to be able to help us and move forward, and fix, especially those who have a platform, this platform, and you may affect even one person is massive, and how we are actually guiding people, and then also guiding yourself with what you're understanding and learning. All right, so let's continue here. So my first slide here. So to know the Messiah, one must know wisdom. To establish wisdom is to establish the fullness of the character of the Messiah. Okay, to establish wisdom is to establish the fullness of the character of the Messiah. To be received by the Messiah, one must have received wisdom. Okay, so some of you guys haven't watched the wisdom series that I did, which is totally fine. So there's going to be some chapters in here, obviously, that we've read before. And for you guys that study the word a lot, you know that things will develop so much more the more you read it and the more understanding you get. So it's never tiring to revisit scriptures, right? Because that's the word. So when it comes down to the wisdom scriptures that we'll read and things like that, of course, you'll hear different things, but even that's even awesome too, because the Most High loves repetition. He loves to speak and tell you things to make sure you're understanding it and getting it. Therefore, that's how we also be a workman, is by literally studying the word, constantly going back and forth, searching through it, finding more understanding, asking for more understanding, and also being able to wait for the understanding. We have this mentality that we got to rush and get it right now, but you got to let the Most High fill you the way he's going to fill you. Sometimes it's not ready for you to be, for you to know what you think you want to really know, because there's something he wants you to see or get out of your heart, get out of your mind. Maybe you're not focused, something of that nature. You got to be able to evaluate and be able to be honest and just be patient. Be humble, just be patient in meekness. So, so to know the Messiah, you must know wisdom. Okay. And this is the reason we're going to see how the Messiah and wisdom actually connects here. So let's see. I know this little graphic here. It shouldn't. Oh, yeah, it's perfect. All right. So we're going to see some connections with the Messiah and wisdom here. All right. So the first one we're going to do, or we're going to go to, is John 1-5. So some of you guys also know that in this specific, these verses, there is a Trinity doctrine connected to it. So basically where the Trinity doctrine is trying to say that the Son specifically is the Father. You guys know I've had conversations with people before, and I've shared that with you guys as well. So if you don't know anything about the Trinity doctrine, I would definitely look it up. But there are massive amount of scriptures to debunk, I would say, the Trinity doctrine specifically. And I mean, you would really need one when the Son literally says the Father is above him. So I mean, but web scriptures, right? Scripture webs, connect your scriptures together. All right, so it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the Most High, was with the Father. And the Word, and here is going to say the Word was God, right? And that one is the easy marker for the Trinity doctrine, because the Son is not specifically the Father, right? He is of the Father. Verse 2, he was with the Father in the beginning. Through him, all things were made. Without him, nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of mankind. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. All right, so now we'll be able to go to Wisdom chapter 9. Okay, we're going to actually read Wisdom chapter 9 a little bit later. There's a specific scripture in here that I want to read that connects to this, but Wisdom chapter 9, just mark it for right now. So Wisdom chapter 9, and then I'm just only going to read from verse 9. Okay, so it says, wisdom is with you and knows your works, and was present when you were making the world, and understands what is pleasing in your eyes and what is according to your commandments. Okay, so wisdom was with you and knows your works, and was present when you were making the world, and understands what is pleasing in your eyes and what is right according to the understanding, according to your commandments. All right. So, and I'll be reading the comments on and off, you guys, so I can stay in the flow and all that cool stuff too. So don't think I'm ignoring the comments. Yeah, so we're going to go now to Proverbs chapter 8. All right. So Proverbs chapter 8. We see wisdom was there in the beginning. We see the Messiah was there in the beginning. The Son was there in the beginning. Okay. So now we have, and you can find way more scriptures probably for this as well, just to connect the two. So Proverbs, let's go to Proverbs 8. All right, and I'm going to read, I'll just go, ESV? I'll just go ahead and just ESV. All right, so let's go to 22, verse 22. And you'll see wisdom, speaking in a personified, like a third person or a first person point of view. Obviously, the writer is speaking from what wisdom is specifically saying. You'll find that also in Sirach as well, like chapter 23 or 24. It says, the Most High, this is wisdom speaking, the Most High possessed me at the beginning of his work. This is verse 22. At the beginning of his work, the first of his acts of old. Ages ago I was set up at the first, before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths I was brought forth. When there was no springs abounding with water. Before the mountains had been shaped, before the hills I was brought forth. Before he had made the earth with its fields, or the first of the dust of the world. When he established the heavens, I was there. When he drew a circle on the face of the deep. When he made firm the skies above. When he established the fountains of the deep. When he assigned to the sea its limit, so that the waters might not transgress his command. When he marked out the foundations of the earth. When I was beside him like a master workman, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and delighting in the children of man. We're going to go to verse 35. For whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Father. But he who fails to find me injures himself. All who hate me love death. All right. Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. I need to actually turn on this light. It's a little dark in here. All right. So you guys see some key, always try to find some patterns in the scriptures too, right? You see similar words. You see things that you're going to be able to connect super easy. And this is one of them. Let's go to John 14. John 14, 6 through 17. And you guys know how we do the build up. So this is considered the build up. So we're adding, we always start layers with layers. It's like stairs. In order for us to get to the top, we gotta keep climbing, but we gotta start at the bottom with the foundation and the framework. We got some people from London, West Africa. Oh my gosh. Shalom. Shalom. That's awesome. Good I did an early one, huh? All right, so John 14, 6 through 7. The Messiah said to him, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you had known me, you would have known my Father also. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. I am the way and the truth and the life. All right. So now let's go to Enoch, chapter 49. Chapter 49. It may be a little bit off for some of you, but it should be the same chapter, 49. All right. Across the oceans. Yeah, that's a bit of a definitely. So chapter 49. What is going on? Yep, I knew it will. Okay, give me 1 second, y'all. So it's gonna be a little bit off. So verse Enoch. Yeah. So it should be chapter 49. That's what it's saying here. But let's see. I'm sorry, y'all, because it might be a little bit different. Some of you guys have obviously different translations in there. So mine is specifically saying it's chapter 49. All right. So I'll just go ahead and read it. So it says, for wisdom is poured out. That's true, Michelle. For wisdom is poured out like water, and glory felleth not before him forevermore. So it's talking about the Son. For he is mighty in all the secrets of righteousness, and unrighteousness shall disappear as a shadow and have no continuance. Because the elect one, standing before the Father, and his glory is forever and ever, and his might unto all generation. In him dwells the spirit of wisdom, and the spirit which gives insight, and the spirit of understanding and of might, and the spirit of those who have fallen asleep in righteousness. He shall judge the secret things, and none shall be able to utter a lying word before him, for he is the elect one before the Father according to his good pleasure. So we see in him dwells the spirit of wisdom. Okay, and this obviously connects very, 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 very well with the main verse that I love to use, obviously, Isaiah chapter 11, 1 through 5. But I won't read it today. And let's go to 3rd Ezra. So it might be a little bit different. You guys got to kind of look into the how the Ezras are kind of, are kind of changed a little bit. Sometimes they may say 1st Ezra is actually Nehemiah. So you got to just kind of look through it a little bit. So let's see here, chapter 4, and let's go to verse 38. See, when I look it up online here, it'll give me First Ezra. So I thought I had it. Oh my gosh. Come on. Okay, y'all. Give me 1 second. Of course. Computer doesn't want to pull this one out. So, and I don't think I have second Ezra's. I have First Ezra. That's messed up. All right then. So I'm gonna have to probably skip out on this one, but just make a note for it. And this is basically when Ezra was rebuilding the altar, I believe. Yeah, it's not gonna give me it. So, but basically, he does talk about truth. He talks about the spirit of truth, and he talks about it's kind of personified as a she, which in Hebrew, you have their masculine and your feminine, and it's basically connecting straight to wisdom, and it actually talks about in the verse 60, I believe, it does actually say thank you to the Most High for giving me wisdom. After it talks about in 38 through 40. The spirit of truth or truth itself. Okay, so just make a mark for that one. If I remember at the end, try to see if I could find it again, then I will do so. All right, so let's continue. So that was the easy connection, right? Wisdom, Messiah, and wisdom. All right. So now let's go to building our framework here. We're going to actually talk about fruits. No. This always happens. There it is. Okay, so we understand wisdom. And I think by diving into more about the fruits, this will actually be more helpful for your walk. All right, so we have Strong's Concordance 6509. Fruits, the word is para. All right, could be pronouncing it wrong, but it's all good. It means to bring forth fruit, cause to be, make fruitful, grow, and increase. Okay, so I want y'all to see how we're really going to be breaking this down here. All right. So it can also mean it's literally and figuratively. It's a symbol, as a symbol or emblem representing something else. Okay. So that's what figuratively is, as a symbol or emblem representing something else. You have to be careful when you say certain things are metaphorical. Not everything is metaphorical. Sometimes things are going to be literal, or it has a twofold or threefold or fourfold meaning. There's layers behind what it is, but that doesn't mean that we have to make up stuff for it to just be metaphorical. Okay, so we have to still connect the scriptures together. The things with fruits. Okay, I want you guys to try to get this one. So this one is on the Bible study tools. All right, Bible study tools, and then you could just literally research fruit. Okay. One second. Of course, this is the day where where the computer is going a little bit slow. Goodness gracious. Sorry, y'all. That's messed up. I don't really know. So the thing with fruits here, so you'll see fruits a lot, and we'll probably end up reading a little bit more, obviously, into it. So typically in the word, you have 6 types of tree fruit. And you'll see like the grapes, you'll see the figs, you'll see the olives, the pomegranates, the dates, the apples. And you'll be able to find all those different things. And then you'll see branches, you'll see the vines, which we're actually going to talk about. And obviously with Adam and Eve, or Hava, or however you want to pronounce it, obviously it says that they ate fruit, right? Fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So there's a massive connection with understanding how we're making our election sure with the fruits that we bear every single day. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to just continue moving past. But with fruits, it takes time to grow. So let's just say if you're planting an apple tree, okay? So you're planting an apple tree fruit. So let's see for how long an apple actually takes to grow. So let's see here. So to grow an apple tree specifically, it takes 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years. Okay. And it says apple trees can actually live for 100 years or more. They usually bloom in the spring, and it takes about 100 to 200 days to reach harvest. Okay, it's very key. You're like, why are we talking about fruit? Okay, so obviously it takes time. It takes time to grow. I mentioned earlier, you get to this community, and obviously, especially for the new ones who are growing in the word, coming from, an area where they're saying that it's false, or they weren't given the actual truth. You find this community and you're like, man, like you feel this rush. You feel this rush to really grow and try to learn everything and things of that nature. And I've talked to a lot of people to tell them to take their time. It's a different when you have a zeal for the word. And you just want everything right now, right now. And you have to let things grow. You have to let the Most High really pour into you over time. And it's not to say that, take your time in the sense of saying, oh, I got all the time in the world. But you have to be patient. You have to be humble. You have to really spend that time with the Most High and really grow as He's really taking things out of your life and also shifting things. He's shifting your mindset. He's shifting things outside of your flesh, to take outside of your flesh. He's doing so much in the midst of what you're seeking. And it takes time. It's not gonna happen in a day, in a week, in a month. It takes time. So ultimately with fruit, when it's bringing forth something, it's increasing. You could be yourself as a fruit, or the things of your works, right? Your works, your labors, the things that you do. There has to be a bearing of fruit, of increase every single day. It cannot just be a complete fruit. There's no complete fruit because we aren't complete yet until the Messiah returns and completes us. So your fruits are not complete just yet, okay? So let's go to Jubilees chapter 2. This is a very awesome connection. So Jubilees chapter 2. So it says, these 4 great works the Most High created on the 3rd day, and on the 4th day he created the sun and the moon and the stars, and set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon all the earth, and to rule over the day and the night, and divide the light from the darkness. And the Most High appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbaths of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. Quick note, yes, you do find the moon also doing the same thing. So that doesn't negate the sun being able to do the same thing. So not going into that, but just make a note and look into it. Verse 10, and it divides the light from the darkness for prosperity, that all things may prosper, which shoot and grow on the earth. Okay? Which shoot and grow on the earth. Verse 11. These three kinds he made on the fourth day, and on the fifth day he created great sea monsters in the depths of the waters, for these were the first things of flesh that were created by his hands, and the fish and everything that moves in the waters, and everything that flies, the birds and all their kind. Now watch this. And the sun rose above them to prosper them, and above everything that was on earth, everything that shoots out of the earth, and all fruit-bearing trees, and all flesh. Okay, so the sun, S-U-N, is also symbolic and connected to the sun, S-O-N. So you notice that it prospers things that are under it, okay? And that everything that shoots out of the earth, including all the flesh, were blessed. The sun is able to bless things that are shooting out of the earth, including the fruit-bearing trees, okay? So let's go to Genesis chapter 2. Genesis chapter 2, verse 4 through 9. And it says, this is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created, and the Most High made the earth and the heavens. Now, no shrub had appeared. Wait. Let me go to, I'm going to read the KJV version on this one. There's a little bit more, I like the wording a little bit more on this one, on this translation. So you try to use all of them if you can. Okay, so thus the heavens and the earth were finished and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day, the Most High ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And the Most High blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he rested from all the work he created and made. So I'm going to go to verse 4. These are the generations of the heavens of the earth when they were created, in the day that the Father and the Son made the earth and the heavens. And every plant of the field before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. Okay? It was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Father had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Father formed man out of the dust of the ground. So there's something that shoots out of the earth, right? The sun also, everything was created through the sun. Okay? So essentially the sun formed the man of the dust of the ground that shot up out of the earth. And he breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Okay? Let's continue. And the Most High planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed in the east. And out of the ground made the Most High grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, and the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay? You guys see that? So we see everything that the sun blesses, literally, shoots out of the earth, that he gave the breath of life and created it. Okay. Throughout scripture, the Most High refers to man as trees. Yes, we're about to get into that. We are about to get into it. Very good. We're still building our framework right here. So let's continue with our fruit. So let's go to Enoch chapter 24. Enoch chapter 24. This is a really good read. Make sure you mark this. Mark everything as you can. He talks about the trees and the fruits, things of that nature that he actually saw. Okay. So we're going to read 24 through 31, and not every chapter obviously is going to have like 20 verses. So 24 has 5 verses. So I'm just going to read all the way through. Okay. And from there, so chapter 24, Enoch. And from there I went to another place of the earth, and he showed me a mountain range of fire which burnt day and night. And I went beyond it, and I saw 7 magnificent mountains, all differing each from the other. And the stones were magnificent and beautiful, magnificent as a whole, of glorious appearance and fair exterior. 3 towards the east, one founded on the other, and 3 towards the south, one upon the other, and deep rough ravines, no one of which joined which any other. And I'm going to go to verse 4. And among them was a tree such as I had never yet smelt, neither was any among them, nor were others like it. And it had a fragrance beyond all fragrance. And its leaves and blooms and wood withered not forever. And its fruit is beautiful. And its fruit resembles the dates of a palm. Then I said, how beautiful is this tree, and fragrant. Its leaves are fair, and its blooms very delightful in appearance. Then answered Michael, one of the holy and honored angels, who was with me and was their leader. Chapter 25. And he said unto me, Enoch, why do you ask me regarding the fragrance of the tree, and why do you wish to learn the truth? Then I answered him, saying, I wish to know about everything, but especially about this tree. And he answered, saying, this high mountain which you have seen, whose summit is like the throne of the Most High, is his throne, where the holy great one, the Father, the eternal King, will sit when he will come down to visit the earth with goodness. So that could also be inserted with the Son. And as for this fragrant tree, no mortal is permitted to touch it until the great judgment, when he will take vengeance on all and bring everything to its consummation forever. It will then be given to the righteous and holy. Its fruit will be good for food to the elect. Okay, some of y'all start seeing where we're going with this. Its fruit will be for food for the elect, to the elect. It will be transplanted to the holy place, to the temple of the Most High, or the Son. Then will they rejoice with joy and be glad into the holy place they will enter. And its fragrance will be in their bones, and they will live a long life on earth, such as the fathers live. In their days will no sorrow or plague or torment or calamity touch them. Then I bless the Father, who has prepared such things for the righteous and has created them and promised to give it to them. Okay. Chapter 26. And I went from there to the middle of the earth, and I saw a blessed place in which there were trees with branches abiding and blooming. And I saw a holy mountain. Underneath the mountain, to the east, there was a stream, and it flowed towards the south. And I saw towards the east another mountain higher than this, and between them a deep and narrow ravine. And I'm going to continue. Let's see here. I'm going to go to chapter 27 now. Then I said, for what object is this blessed land, which is entirely filled with trees, this accursed valley between? Then Uriel, one of the holy angels, was with me, answered and said, this accursed valley is for those who are accursed forever. So when you're reading this, you're trying to get imagery, right? It's kind of hard, obviously, to even try to imagine what he's seeing. But in the Hebraic understanding of when you're reading scriptures, you want to try to use as much senses as you can, smelling it, seeing, trying to be in his place of what he's smelling and what he's seeing. But he's seeing beautiful trees, beautiful fruit. And then going to chapter 29, he says, and I went to another place in the desert and approached to the east of this mountain range. And there I saw aromatic trees, exhaling the fragrance of frankincense and myrrh, and the trees also were similar to the almond tree. So let's see, even chapter 30. I went afar to the east and saw another place, a valley full of water, and therein was a tree, the color of fragrant trees, such as the mastic, and on the sides of those valleys I saw fragrant cinnamon. And beyond this I proceeded to the east. Okay, so I think you guys get the point, right? Read all the way up to chapter 31. It talks about these trees, how it smelled, even chapter 32. So it's just beautiful trees, beautiful fruit that we're seeing. And obviously in one of the chapters, we see that there will be given a tree of life, right? Given to the elect. Okay. So we understand these fruits. The sun prospers them. The sun blesses them. It takes time for fruits to grow. It takes time for those trees to grow. And let's continue. Building our framework. Okay. So first fruits. Okay. This is very, 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 very awesome. First fruits. So it's 1061. Okay. So the word is bikur. And there's another word that's 7225. 7225. It's either Reshet, pronounced Reshet, but it means the beginning or the first fruits. Okay. In the Greek 536, it's a parche, which means first fruits. Okay. So very, at least, from a generic understanding, first fruits, it's the first of your fruits, right? So let's go to Exodus chapter 23. Exodus chapter 23. We're going to dive into first fruits and understanding a little bit more why we're actually talking about this, okay? So let's go to verse 16. It says, "And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of your labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field." Okay, so the key is labors, the works. Okay, the first fruits have to do with works. Okay, the first of your fruits have to do with works, with your labors. All right, let's go to verse 19. The first of the first fruits of thy land shall bring into the house of the Most High, and thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk. So the connection with verse 19, when it says you're bringing to your first fruits to the house of the Most High, you're presenting them. We're going to read Matthew chapter 13, and specifically should be verse 23. So this one, you can mark this chapter. It has a parable of the sower in here, and also the parable of the weeds, the parables of the mustard seed and the yeast, the parables of the weeds explained, parable of the net. So it's a lot of parables in this chapter. But in verse 23, connecting with what we just read, it says, "But the seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop yielding 160 or 30 times what was sown." Okay, so you can imagine laborers, the amount of laboring in order to put something right in good soil and being able to yield the fruit 160 or 30 times what was sown. Okay, let's continue. Let's go to Jubilees. So we're talking about first fruits, right? So Jubilees chapter 7. Okay. So in the 7th week, in the first year thereof, in this Jubilee, Noah planted vines on the mountain on which the ark had rested, named Lubar, one of the Ararat mountains. And they produced fruit in the 4th year. Okay, so you notice in the 7th week in the first year, Noah planted the vines. And then in the 4th year, it produced fruit. It takes time. And he guarded their fruit and gathered it in this year in the 7th month. And he made wine therefrom and put it into a vessel and kept it until the 5th year. So it was a 1 year. until the first day on the new moon of the first month. And he celebrated with joy the day of this feast, and he made a burnt sacrifice unto the Most High. And I'm going to skip over to verse 5. And he placed all their offerings mingled with oil upon it. And afterwards he sprinkled wine on the fire which he had previously made on the altar. And he placed incense on the altar and caused a sweet savor to ascend acceptable before the Most High. So the smell, right? Smell was acceptable to the Most High. And he rejoiced and drank of this wine, and he and his children with joy. Okay. And I did put, verse 6. Okay. So notice it takes time. And then there was wine made. So we're going to go over that a little bit later. So you see my notes here. And we're actually going to go about that. Look into the wine really quick. So it says made wine, and he placed it into the vessel and kept it for 1 year. So let's look at the significance of the wine. So we saw the fruit, the vine planted, the fruit actually coming from that in a certain amount of time. It produced fruit in the fourth year. And then he made wine from it that took a year for it to really be perfect. Okay. So let's look into wine. Let's go to Mark chapter 2, 18 through 22. So this one, it says, now John's disciples and Pharisees were fasting. Some people came and asked the son, how is it that John's disciples and the disciples of the Pharisees are fasting, but yours are not? Messiah answered, how can the guests of the bridegroom fast while he is with them? They cannot, so long as they have him with them. They cannot so as long as they have him with them. But the time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them. On that day they will fast. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment. Otherwise, the new piece will pull away from the old, making the tear worse. No one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins. Okay, so relating to what Noah did, there was new fruit that was produced from the vine that he planted in 3 years before that. And then he had to wait a year. He put that new wine into a new wineskin. Okay, into new wineskin, and he was able to celebrate and truly be joyous in that feast when the wine was produced, and it was time in the first day of the first new moon. Okay, so let's continue. Another connection with wine. Let's go to Mark 13. Mark 13, and we'll read 28 through 37. So remember that fruit that Noah planted, those were his first fruits. Okay, those were first fruits. I believe. Either he may have already given the first fruits in a chapter beforehand, but then he also sowed some more fruits. But it was very significant for the first day of the first new moon. So let's go to Mark chapter 13, okay? And we're going to read 28 to 37. All right, so now learn this lesson from the fig tree. So a fruit tree called a fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see that these things are happening to you, you know that it is near, right at the door. So the prophecies that are coming, or the things that was prophetic in this chapter specifically about what's going on, he's sitting there telling you, these are the things that are happening because it's ripe. Like it's a time for harvest in a sense. Verse 30, truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass until all things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Be on guard. Be alert. You do not know when the time will come. It's like a man going away. He leaves his house and puts his servants in charge, each with their assigned task, and tells the one at the door to keep watch. Keep watch. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know when the owner of the house will come back, whether in the evening or at midnight when the rooster crows or at dawn. If he comes suddenly, do not let him find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to everyone, watch. So let's do some quick connections real quick with what we just read. So we read earlier in Exodus 23. Okay, so we know the first fruits, let's just say, are the beginning of the fruits. We know that we just went over fruits, that it takes time for it to grow, but it also has to do with your works, right? And when we read Exodus 23, verse 16, we see that there's labors involved with the first fruits. And then you're presenting these fruits to the Father, okay? And in Matthew 13, 23, we see that the Son is also saying, or was that chapter 2 of Mark? I think that was chapter 2 of Mark. Let me make sure. Yeah, he's saying that. Give me 1 second, y'all. So he's saying that in Mark chapter 2 that the Son was going to be he's going to be taken away, and it was only for a certain amount of time. So connecting with what we just read in Mark chapter 13, you notice that it says that the owner, right, the bridegroom has left, or the owner of the house left for a certain amount of time, though he's coming back, right? Though he's coming back. So it's like you're being assigned as a servant. Verse 34 in Mark chapter 13, it says it's like a man going away. He leaves his house and puts his servants in charge, each with their assigned task, their ordained path, and tells the one at the door to keep watch. Okay, so you notice he's saying, I have to leave, but it's not, we're putting new wine into new wineskins, right? There's a symbolic sense of your old flesh, right? Or you're literally going from walking in your flesh to walking in the spirit, which we're going to cover in a little bit. Okay, but he's asking us to watch. That word watch comes from the word shamar and natsar. Okay. So it wasn't just saying to just watch and be aware of what's going on. It's also saying that within your labors, within your fruit, within the things that you're doing every day, to continue those things. Because didn't we read earlier about the parable of the sower? In that chapter, there's a parable of the sower. And it's also talking about that you're reaping, like you're what you sowing. Going back to it, let's see. Sorry, y'all. Matthew 13, and then that's just verse 23. So it's saying that the seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word and understands it, and therefore you're producing a crop 60 or 30 times what was sown. So there's growth involved in all these things that you're doing, all these things in what was actually sown. So when it's telling you to watch, notice that shamar, the word for watch, it means to keep watch, to preserve, to be on guard, to diligently keep, to carefully keep, to defend, to maintain, to preserve, to perform, to protect. Okay? Notice again, we read Jubilees chapter 7. Okay? I know it's like, hopefully it's not going over your head, because it's we're just putting these connections together. Notice in Jubilees chapter 7, Noah, it says that he guarded their fruit. He guarded their fruit. He guarded the labor he literally guarded the labor that he was doing. He guarded the fruits that he was presenting to the Most High, and that he was also harvesting from, and ended up making new wine. There's a connection there, especially after he gets out of the ark. It's such a awesome connection. So let's go to shamar. So that's the word for to keep and to watch. And then, of course, the infamous natsar. This one also means to watch, to guard, and to keep. Okay? Watch and to guard and to keep. Be a watchman, preserving, to protect. Okay? So those two words are very, very connected. So it's not just being a Nazarene, as a lot of people like to say. You know, you're also being a Shamarim. I don't know. So let's continue here. So this is very interesting. So remember, it was new wine into new wineskins. All right. And Noah celebrated the wine that he put into the wineskin. He waited for a year for it to truly be perfect. And he celebrated. Now, this is interesting. So wine oxidation. I'm not a wine connoisseur. So don't think I'm a wine connoisseur. But wine oxidation, it happens when a wine's exposure to air triggers a series of chemical reactions that convert ethanol, which we commonly refer to as alcohol, into oxidant, whatever. So the triggers to the air, and then it's typically used as a negative connotation. Okay, so it suggests that the wine matured too soon, or it's lacking in good qualities, typically associated with different wines that don't, I guess, taste as well, or there's a different type of oxidation to it. Okay. So let's just say, from a general sense, the wine touching the air too early. Notice Noah waited for those fruits to be ripe for the harvest, and then he had to wait for the wine to become, let's just say, quote unquote, ripe for it to drink, because it was in a new wineskin. If he would have opened it too early, guess what would have happened? He wouldn't have been able to celebrate that feast specifically. He wouldn't be able to have truly been joyful, because he had to wait for the fruits of his labor, and even the extra portion. We had to wait. He had to wait. Okay. So interestingly enough, vinegar. All right. Vinegar. It's always something, always something connected to this. Go to John chapter 19. John chapter 19, verse 28. Okay. 28 through 30. So later, knowing that everything had now been finished, and so that scripture would be fulfilled, the son says, "I am thirsty." A jar of wine vinegar was there, so they soaked a sponge in it, but put the sponge on a stalk of the hyssop plant and lifted it up to the son's lips. When he had received the drink, the Most High, the Son said, "It is finished." With that, he bowed his head and gave up his spirit. Now, this is very interesting, because wine vinegar, okay? Wine vinegar is basically what I explained to you guys about the oxidation process. Okay, so the vinegar is seen as, like, it's not as completely ripe, right, as other wines, let's just say, where Noah had a wine that he waited for a year to produce from his first fruits. It was perfect. It was without vinegar. It was without oxidation, let's just say, right? So the wine vinegar that was given to the Son, because the Son put on the sins of man, he essentially they were giving him wine that was not truly ripe, or that was like, it was still symbolic of it not being complete in the sense of like sin, or it's not like the most healthy, it's not like the best. It was symbolic because he literally was putting on sin, as 2 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 21 says. So let's read that really quick. So it says, the Father made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of the Father. Okay. And now let's go to Numbers. You guys see how that connects? It's crazy. it's crazy. Numbers chapter 19, verse 17 through 20. Okay. So notice in the John chapter 19, we see that vinegar, or that sponge, was also on the stalk of the hyssop plant. Okay? Hyssop plant. Okay, so now we're going to read Numbers 19, 17 through 20. It says, for the unclean person, put some ashes from the burn purification offering into a jar and pour fresh water over them. Then a man who is ceremonially clean is to take some hyssop, dip it in the water, and sprinkle the tent and all the furnishings and the people who were there. He must also sprinkle anyone who has touched a human bone or a grave, or anyone who has been killed, or anyone who has died a natural death. The man who is clean is to sprinkle those who are unclean on the 3rd and 7th days. And on the 7th day he is to purify them. Those who are being cleansed must wash their clothes and bathe with water, and that evening they will be clean. Okay? But if those who are unclean do not purify themselves, they will be cut off from the community, because they have defiled the sanctuary of the Most High. The water of cleansing has not been sprinkled on them, and they are unclean. This is a lasting ordinance for them. So notice, we have the hyssop, right? We have the hyssop. It's like a plant. It's connected to purity, cleansing. But you have these people who were essentially mocking, these troops that were essentially mocking the Son. They put wine that isn't complete, that isn't fully ripe, wine vinegar, in a sponge with the hyssop plant, on the stalk of the hyssop plant that's supposed to represent purity, and giving it to the Son who puts on sin. He puts on sin. And the Son is actually the first fruits of the Father. He's the first begotten. He's the begotten Son, the first begotten of all creation, of all things. So that's a easy connection with the opposite of what Noah was actually celebrating in Jubilees chapter 7. He was celebrating literally new wine being into a new wineskin, literally a new time for growth, a new time for life. After all the things that have been destroyed in that flood, it was new. And so unfortunately, or fortunately, I would say, but for the Son, he literally had to take on, unfortunately, that bad fruit, in a sense, or that wine that was not ripe, that vinegar. And as clean as he was without sin, he put on sin for us. Okay? So when we're thinking about first fruits, we can even think more about what the Son did for us. Right? There's so much more within first fruits that we can understand. But essentially that's the connection with the wine, at least. Okay? So please revisit that. Please revisit that. Try to connect more to it. But I thought it was very interesting to kind of see more on. Okay? So let's go to Numbers 13. So we're still talking about first fruits. We're almost finished with that portion. Numbers 13:20. Okay, so we're still going from the fruits, right? Let me show this other slide earlier, the fruits to grow, to increase, has to do with your laborers, right? We understand that the sun is the main portion of things growing underneath it, that things that shoot and grow out of the earth. Okay. And we saw that the spirit of wisdom, right, was with the sun. So let's just continue. Numbers 13, verse 20. It said, how is the soil? Is it fertile or poor? Are there trees in it or not? Do your best to bring back some of the fruit of the land. It was the season for the first ripe grapes. Okay. First fruits. They have to be ripe. Okay. Let's go to Leviticus 2:14. Everything is going to connect, y'all. It'll probably blow your mind a little bit later because, we got to build the framework first. That's just how it is. But it'll blow your mind later. I promise. When a movie is like starting and you got to get like the background and all that stuff, you gotta, it's developing. I promise. It's going to hit. All right, Leviticus 2:14. If you bring a grain offering of first fruits from the Most High, offer crushed heads of new grain roasted in fire. If you bring your first fruits to the Father, to the Son, it needs to be new. Okay, grain offering. It's a whole offering. All right, let's go to 1 Corinthians. Chapter 15, verse 22 through 23. For as in Adam all die, so in Christ, or the Son, all will be made alive. But each in turn, the Son, Messiah, the first fruits. Okay, read it again. For as in Adam all die, so in Christ all will be made alive. But in each in turn, Christ, the first fruits. Then when he comes, those who belong to him. Then the end will come. When he hands over the kingdom to the Father, after he has destroyed all dominion, authority, and power. Okay, very key. The Son is the first fruits, like I mentioned earlier, and we see it in Scripture more so. And he comes to those who belong to him. Okay? Deuteronomy 32:4. He is the rock, his works, or you can also say his fruits are perfect and all his ways are just. A faithful Elohim who does no wrong, upright and just is he. So typically you might see connections with God, them calling the Messiah a God. And also even in Old Testament, typically they're not really seeing the Messiah a lot in these scriptures. So it's all, trying to say the Father, the Father, the Father. But when you learn more, you grow, you start seeing the Son everywhere in the Old Testament. Okay. So, he is a faithful Messiah who does no wrong. Faithful, he is the anointed one, the Savior, the Redeemer, the King who does no wrong. Upright and just is he. Okay. So the key is in this one, his works, his fruits are perfect and all his ways are just. Okay. All right. So we're seeing this. This is more first fruits, more about the first fruits, not just about sitting there saying, okay, I am observing first fruits because it's on the calendar or this is what we're supposed to be doing with the feast days. We have to break open more understanding to put into our heart, into our ruach, to really understand what he's talking about with these feast days, right? And we see just with first fruits alone, there's so much more we can gain from that. Okay, so now, this one is actually fun. Let's go to the branch. The branch, the branches, the vine dresser, and the true vine. And see how we're doing this? We went from fruit. We went to the first fruits. Now we're going to the branch. Now the branches, the vine dresser, and the true vine. So let's go to Isaiah 11, just verse 1, y'all. A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. A shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse, from the son of from David, from the stump of Jesse. Jesse was David's father and dad. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. Okay. Let's go to John 15:5. I am the vine, you are the branches. This is the Son speaking. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me, I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. You're starting to see how this is connecting, just a little bit. Remember the subtitle, or the main title of this study was the fruits of wisdom. Okay. So now this is very interesting. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. Got to read one more scripture. So I'm not sure why I didn't put 15. We read 15:5. I think I was supposed to read 1 through 5, or just, yeah, there it is. Oh, all right, I'm back. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Okay, in another translation, it will say vine dresser. So the Son is the true vine, and the Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he takes away. And every branch that bears fruit, he purges it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Okay? If you just came in, we just made some connections with specifically what it's also talking about with more fruit. Okay? But we understand that the fruits, it takes time for it to grow. Right? It takes time for it to grow. We saw that Noah planted a vine, right? Planted a vine, and in the first year, and in the fourth year, he collected its fruit. It takes time. And you notice in here, verse 2, it says every branch that is bearing the fruit, he's purging it. What does purge mean? Let's look it up. Purging. It says the Hebrew word for purge is chata, and it means to make reconciliation or to purify. And interestingly enough, it says David asked the Most High to purge him with hyssop. Hyssop, because we read earlier, hyssop was symbolic of the purging, of the purity, of the purification. And that was in Numbers chapter 19. And this whole thing, you can read chapter 19. But it's going to mention purification with the hyssop. And then we also saw how they were mocking the son being a criminal, right? Who they painted as a criminal, and tried to were giving him wine that was sour, that was vinegar, that wasn't full in its potential. Dip the sponge into that wine And what the sponge was connected to was a hyssop plant. So it was like a mocking of purification in a sense, because he was bearing all the sins upon him. And that's literally when he said, it's finished. Very so symbolic. But verse 2, John 15, he purges it and he purges the branches that are bearing the fruit so that they can bring forth more fruit. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Verse 3. Verse 4, abide in me and I in you, as the branch cannot bear fruit of itself. The branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abide in the vine. No more can ye except you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abideth in me and I in him, the same brings forth much fruit. For without me you can do nothing. So this thought right here is very interesting. I saw this online. It says the branches and the vine are one and cannot be divided. The life in the vine is the life in the branches. The nature of the vine is the nature of the branches. And the substance of the vine is the substance of the branches. There is no difference at all between the vine and the branches. Strictly speaking, all the branches are parts of the vine. Now, you're probably thinking, how can all the branches not be divided? Right? In the sense of, if we just read here, John 15, that you cannot bring more fruit if you're not abiding in the vine, in the Son. Even if you're a branch, doesn't mean that you are truly a part of the vine. Okay, let's continue. We're gonna talk about that a little bit more. Give me 1 second. Okay, so just as it says in verse 2 of John 15, every branch in me, this is another translation, every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes it away. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes it, or he purifies it so that it may bear more fruit. So you notice here in this incomplete thought, it's saying that the branches and vine cannot be divided. That only means that the branches that bear fruit that he's purging cannot be divided. But the ones that are not bearing fruit and more fruit, right, are not actually a part of him. Because it simply says here, the Father takes those branches away from him, from the vine. In the NLT version, he says he cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit. It's very interesting. Very interesting. So we're going to read something about the grapevine structure and function. Okay, so I have a little picture here. You may have seen it before. Okay. Told y'all it was going to get juicy. Told y'all. So let me get my my little connection here. Sorry, I got like a million tabs. It's crazy. Why I have so many tabs? I mean, I know why. But I gotta find the right one. Okay then. I'm gonna find it. So the grapevine. Okay. So listen to this, y'all. The grapevine is an interesting plant. Not only that it produced some of the best fruit on earth, which it can be transformed into wine, but also as the plant itself. Grapevine is a permanent plant but differs from other permanent plants in many ways. So in order to successfully maintain vine and produce the best possible grapes and thus the wine, it is important to know how each and every grapevine parts and its functions. This is crazy. Grapevine is a climber which naturally grows on the trees and bushes, high in wild shapes. Okay, so you notice in Isaiah chapter 11, tell y'all, this is Isaiah chapter 11, verse 1. Notice it says, there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of its roots. Okay, so let's go back. A grapevine is a climber which naturally grows on the trees and bushes, high in wide shapes. In the vineyard, its growth is maintained with the pruning in order to control the quantity and quality of the grapes. Is maintained with the pruning, with the purifying, in order to control the quantity and the quality of the grapes. Like any other plant, also grapevine has its underground and above ground part. The underground part consists of an underground trunk with the root system, while the above ground part consists of the trunk, canes, and shoots. So you guys see with this picture here, you have all this function of the root system, the trunk. You see the grapes are on the right side. You see the leaves. You see how it's producing fruit on one side. But on the other side, you see that there's shoots. You see that there's the branches there that doesn't have any fruits on it. Let's see here. The root system of a grapevine tree. So it says that some varieties develop very deep and almost vertical roots, while others have very flat and shallow root systems, and therefore requires deep, fertile soil. Okay, we were at that earlier about the word going into good soil. Okay, that was a parable of the sower. Okay. I'll read it, Matthew 13:23, or actually I'll read Luke 8:15. It says, but the seeds on good soil are those with a noble and good heart who hear the word, cling to it, and by persevering produce a crop. Okay. That was a super easy connection there. And then as you notice in Matthew 13:23, it says the one who hears the word and understands it, it indeed bears fruits and yields, one case 100-fold, another 60, and another 30. So there's different types of amounts of fruits that are being produced by different people. Okay? Now watch this. It says the trunk. So it's the main stem. So you see this, the trunk there above the graft union. It's the main stem. It's permanent and supports the above vegetative leaves and stems, and reproductive, which is the flowers and fruits. So this is the permanent and supports the above, whatever above it, and reproductive structure of the vine. Okay. The height of the trunk and also its branched varies with the selected training system. In cane prune training system, the top of the trunk is called the head. A fully developed trunk has arms, which are short branches from which canes and spurs originate. Depending on the selected training system, arms are located in different positions, different laborers in the kingdom. Different areas. We got people from West Africa on here. We got people from London. You're in different positions. You're in different areas. You're in different situations. Everybody has a different ordained path. It says, let's see here. Okay. So with the canes, okay, so we see the canes here. Where's the canes at? The shoots and the canes. Okay, so you see on the left side here what it would look like when there's no fruit on it, but then on the right side you see where the fruit is being produced on the shoots or the canes. It says, when the shoots mature and woody, it becomes a vine cane. When they mature, takes time. Canes, if they're for 1-year-old woody and matured shoot, after the leaves has fallen off, canes are the main concerns for wine growers during the dormant season. With the winter pruning of canes, wine growers are managing vine size and shape and therefore control the quality of crop in the coming season. Now, this is very interesting, right? Because not every fruit that a laborer is going to bear is going to come in a certain season. Okay? So why do you think Ecclesiastes chapter 3, it says there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. There is a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance. I'll go to verse 6, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Okay, it says verse 9, what do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden the Most High has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what the Most High has done from the beginning to end. I'll even continue verse 12 on Ecclesiastes chapter 3. Verse 12, I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to be good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is a gift from the Father. I know that everything the Father does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it, nothing can be taken from it. The Most High does it so people will fear him. Woo! Okay. Now watch this. We still got to look at this. Okay. So you guys see where it's talking about the buds. Okay. So it says develop in the leaf axil above the connection between the shoot and the leaf petiole. Inside each bud, there are 3 distinct growing points, each capable of producing a shoot, also known as primary. Each capable of producing a shoot. Bud is actually a highly compressed shoot with all its parts, including cluster. A bud burst normally primarily bud begins to grow, but sometimes also secondary or tertiary buds, so there can be 2 or 3 shoots on the same axil. Interesting. So it says that in comparison to the primary buds, secondary and tertiary buds generally have little to no fruit. So it's very interesting. So let's go to shoots. Okay. So the shoots are the green stems which develop from buds and represent the primary growth structure of grapevines. The shoots that arise from primary winter buds are normally the fruit-producing shoots. The shoot consists of stems, leaves, tendrils, and fruits. Canopy is a collective term that's just used to describe the shoots, leaves, and the fruits of the grapevine. So notice, this is where these are the fruit-producing shoots. Okay? So we're going to go back to Isaiah chapter 11, verse 1. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. Okay. In the KJV version, or I'll say NIV version, it says a shoot will come up from the stump of Jesse. From his roots, a branch will bear fruit. Okay. All right. So let's go back. Here. So I want you guys to look up the fig tree structure, okay, and the characteristics of it. It's very interesting because that's another fruit-bearing tree that is very connected. But you notice here too, this is obviously grape tree, or with the clusters of grapes. In Esdras, watch this. Some of you guys already know this one. This is in Esdras chapter 9. 2nd Esdras chapter 9. Okay? 2nd Esdras chapter 9. It says that in let's just say verse 17. And he answered me, saying, like as the field is, so is also the seed, and as the flowers be, such are the colors also. Such as the workman is, such also is the work. As the husbandman is himself, so is his husbandry also. For it was the time of the world. You can also say, as the vine is himself, so is the vine dresser also. Verse 18, and now when I prepared the world which was not yet made, even for them to dwell in that now live, no man spake against me. For then everyone obeyed, but now the manners of them which are created in this world that is made are corrupted by a perpetual seed, by a law which is unsearchable, rid themselves. So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that came into it. And I saw, and I spared it greatly, and have kept me a grape of the cluster. I've kept me a grape of the cluster, and a plant of a great people. Let the multitude perish then, which was born in vain, and let my grape be kept, and my plant. For with great labor have I made it perfect. Purifying it. He has to make your fruits perfect. It's not all going to come all in one. It has to be made perfect. It has to be purged. Interestingly enough, this is like a fig tree root. You guys see how embedded this is? How connected this is? It's beautiful. I mean, look at the it's like veins, literally. It's getting everything. And this tree is so strong. And the branches thereof of the tree is so strong. Like, imagine you try to rip that out of the ground. You can't. Like, it takes an amazing amount of force. So let's continue. Hope you guys are connected. I know this is a little deep. Kind of have to revisit it a little bit more. So now we get into James or Yaakov. Okay, so in Yaakov or James chapter 2, verse 14 through 26, it talks about faith without works being dead, right? And it's also talking about that it gives examples of you not helping people out in the sense of your actions. If someone is needing something, In verse 14, it says, "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds? Can such faith save them?" Okay, can such a faith without your fruits, without your deeds, without your works as a laborer, can it truly save you? And he goes on to say, no, because your fruits that are dead, that your faith, that your walk without the proper fruits that are actually pruned and purified, is dead. As the body without the spirit is dead, so is your fruit that hasn't been purified also being is essentially dead. If you're connected to the Son, who is the branch and the vine, but it's not purified and it doesn't look like a fruit that's supposed to be on his tree, why would he have you on there? Because it has to, that's why it says you follow in the narrow path. And you don't also, in Hebrews 12, it said you don't run from the discipline of the Father, right? Because that's in itself purifying you. And also fight the good fight, right? These are things that we're enduring to the end, right? He's giving you, he's making you white and pure and clean, purity in yourself. My good and faithful servant, things like that. It shows you these fruits that we're bearing have to be complete. That actually takes time. Let's look into faith. So faith, 530 imuna. It means firmness, steadfastness, stability, truth. It's unmovable. So your unmovable walk, or your direction, your focus, being immovable, will produce works that are acceptable to the Most High. Your fruits, your first fruits, all the fruits of your labor. Let's go to 2 Chronicles, chapter 19. It says, he gave them these orders: you must serve faithfully and wholeheartedly in the fear of the Father. In every case that comes before you from your people who live in the cities, whether bloodshed or others concerns of the Torah, of the law, commands, decrees, or regulations, you are to warn them not to sin against the Most High. Otherwise, his wrath will come on you and your people. Do this and you will not sin. So you must serve faithfully and wholeheartedly with the fear of the Father. Okay? Your faith is supposed to be firm in this tree, in this branch, in this root, in the vine. Okay? And so a part of faith comes a root word, aman, or amen. And it means to confirm, to support, to bring up, to build, to trust, to believe. So you go to Genesis chapter 15, verse 6. And you'll see this word, aman, where it says Abram believed, or aman, the Most High. He credited to him as righteousness. So he did not go back and forth on his understanding and his connection and his trust in the Most High. Therefore, the fruits of his labors will be complete, and it was given to him as righteousness, or it was credited to him as righteousness. Okay. And then oddly enough, too, 541. So you see there's another of connection with aman. And this one actually means to turn to the right, to take to the right hand road. Okay. So, and then there's another connection with 3225 yamin. So this one also just means the right hand. So these scriptures that I listed here, some of them are obviously the Son sits on the right hand of the Father. So you're literally in your faith, you are turning to the right hand, the right side, straight to the Son, in whom your fruits are connected to the vine. your purified fruits. You guys see how this is connecting? It's more. It's more, that we can actually understand a little bit more now. Why we are actually going through this life in the way that we are. Exodus 15:6. I will read that one. It says, "Your right hand, Father, was majestic in power. Your right hand, Father, shattered the enemy." So this is one of the scriptures that Moses is actually talking about the Son. Okay. But let's continue. So your faith, your fruits without work, your fruits that have not been purified, that are supposed to be being purified and also reaping more fruits, things that are supposed to be coming more out of the fruits of your labor, that the Most High wants, that the Son wants, that He's coming back for those who have literally the word sowed in their heart into good soil, and also who produce more of what He gave them, right? If He says that the law or the Torah, He wrote it on our hearts, and in the Ruach, in the Spirit of Him that He's given us, has wisdom, it has understanding, it has counsel, it has power, specifically wisdom. That means that He planted it already in us. So as we grow, it's supposed to bear more fruit. But you're not going to get every fruit that's going to bear right away, because it takes time. It has to be purified. Those are the fruits that He wants. He does not want some random fruit that has not been purified, that is not going to be tasty to Him. It's like, it makes no sense. So when you get to this community, when you're new, especially to this community, you notice how much is projected on you, and you're trying to choose a side. And essentially, your fruit that you're producing is going to look a certain way depending on what path or what person is saying specifically these names and all of that. You'll notice that your fruit resembles who you specifically chose to follow, or what name you chose, or it's just very interesting. This community is so interesting. There's no balance. There's no general understanding of the fullness of His truth, because you have so much division still. But those are the fruits that He wants. You notice when Cain and Abel, when it says that in chapter 4 of Genesis, Abel kept the flocks and Cain worked the soil. So in the course of time, Cain brought some of the fruits of the soil as an offering to the Most High, and Abel also brought an offering, fat portions from some of the firstborn of his flocks. The Most High looked on with favor on Abel of his offering, because he gave him the first of his laborers. But Cain and his offering He did not look on with favor. So Cain was very angry, and his face was downcast. Verse 6, it says, the Most High said to Cain, "Why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it." This person was angry because they thought they were giving the right fruits, presenting the right fruits to the Most High, and that's not what He wanted. He wants the first, the ripe, the ones that are perfect, that are purged. Hopefully that hit. Hopefully that hit. I know it hit me. So maybe this is just for me, y'all. I don't know. If it's hitting y'all, you gotta let me know. So now let's look at these fruits. And this is interesting because, people, you get to this community also, and you start seeing, like some people were saying Shabbat Shalom on this on the comments right now, right? So you got some people doing Shabbat on a Sunday. However they feel is what's a Shabbat. You got other people in this community following a calendar that they believe is correct, and walking in that and doing the feast days by this moon or that moon, and putting that on their stories and things of that nature. And then you have some other people who don't know anything about the Shabbat, so then they're trying to find things about it, and then they end up having to choose, which calendar or which moon or which whatever that they're choosing. And it's interesting because the Most High is not going to, when you pass and you're being judged and you're following a calendar that you decided never to look into, or you never decided to study the luminaries yourself, you never asked to gain understanding. Because you did so and you said, hey, well, I think this is correct. It makes sense. The Most High is going to say, like, that's like the point of the following the luminaries and the point of actually observing the feast days is not for a religious standpoint. It's not for everybody to see you doing it. It's not for everyone to say that you are on one accord with so-and-so who made this calendar, or who believes this is a Shabbat on this Sunday or this Tuesday or this Friday or whatever this Saturday. That's not the point of the whole matter. Because if your heart is wrong, in the wrong place, and if your fruits are not ripe for him to gather when he comes back, what was the point of the luminaries in the first place? What was the point of you even observing the feast days? Who was it really for? Who is it really for? Because this platform will make it seem like you got it all together. And we really got to be honest with ourselves. Because really, what are we really doing it for? In chapter 6 of Jubilees, you do notice that it does say that, let's just say verse 37, for this reason the years will come upon them, and they will disturb the order and make an abominable day the day of testimony, and an unclean day a feast day, and they will confound all the days, the holy with the unclean, and the unclean day with the holy. For they will go wrong as to the months and Sabbaths and feasts and jubilees. For this reason I command and testify to thee, that thou mayest testify to them. For after thy death thy children will disturb them, and they will not make the year 364 days only. And for this reason they will go wrong as to the new moons and the seasons and Shabbats and festivals, and they will eat all kinds of blood and with all kinds of flesh. So you have to go back and study. You have to go back and review. You have to go back and ask for more understanding. You have to check everything out. Just like I tell you guys, use everything as a supplement. You have to go check it out. So in the case of tribulation, let's say, and something happens where you can't access internet or anything like that, are you going to go run and go grab some person's calendar that made it for you? Are you going to go run and try to go print out a bunch of Instagram posts of this person who celebrates the Shabbat on a Sunday or Saturday or Tuesday or Friday or Wednesday? Are you going to try to go grab those things just so you can have it in the time and be like, oh, I got to stay on this? Because that's not true being a laborer and a workman. The point of the luminaries is for you to also have that as muscle memory, for you to be able to look up and understand the times. It's for you to in your heart, let's just say if you don't have the understanding that in your heart and in your ruach, that you understand what these times are for, and for you to be cleansed from it, for your works and your labors to be cleansed, for the Most High to be able to harvest that. For the Son, when he comes back, he wants to get the ones that are true, worshiping in spirit and in truth, and to get those whose labors, who what they did with their talents, right? In the parable of the talents, he wants to get those and bring those to him. Not the ones who have a calendar or some other understanding of what they believe that they're following and was doing it in the wrong heart, in the wrong mind, in the wrong spirit. That's not the point of this whole walk. That's not the point. So for those who are new to this walk, you're coming out of a Christian church and things like that, don't let these people in this community like speed you up. Don't let these people deceive you. That's the one thing where I really love to teach the youth, because older people, adults, will sit there and they don't like to relearn, or they like to stay in their own ways. Even in this community, they like to stay in their own ways. They harden their heart. Like nothing can be done for them to understand more, or if they do understand more, then they're following this person or that person, and this person said it this way, so this is how I'm going to say it. This is not the walk. This is not how it's supposed to be done. But even still, why wait to find that out in your judgment? Because you have to be judged as righteous or unrighteous. Why wait to that time? Why play with our walk like that? Why? It doesn't make sense, but that's just how it's going. So for you who are trying to find more understanding and more truth, go reread it. Try to get more understanding. Take your time. Break it down. Take time. Take your time. Enjoy it. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the growth. Don't let people speed you up and just take everything as notes and go back and read and go back and study. Spend that time with the Most High. Pray. Ask for direction. Okay? So let's continue here. So watch this. Now we got the fruits of wisdom. So now from here on out for the rest of the study, since we have all the understanding, or the understanding of the first fruits, the fruits, all of that. Now we get to see how it just blossoms from here on. Okay? So now we'll have a different mindset on how we read everything. So in Wisdom chapter 8, Wisdom chapter 8. Wisdom chapter 8. We're going to read verse 1. Okay? We're going to read until, I think, verse 7. But she reaches from one end to the other. This is talking about wisdom. Okay, it's Solomon on wisdom. She reaches from one end to the other with full strength and orders all things well. I loved her and sought her from my youth, and I sought to take her for my bride. I became enamored by her beauty. She glorifies her noble birth by living with the Most High and the Son. The Sovereign of all loves her, for she is initiated into the knowledge of the Father, and she chooses his works, his fruits. But if riches are a desired possession in life, what is richer than wisdom, which makes all things? And if understanding works, who more than wisdom is an architect of the things that exist? If a man loves righteousness, the fruits of wisdom's labor are virtues. For she teaches soberness, understanding, righteousness, and courage. There is nothing in life more profitable for people than these. So, wisdom is truly the main thing that produces all of your fruits, all of the things in your walk. Wisdom is everything. If you have no wisdom, how can you truly be of Messiah? Right? So I shared this. This was the beginning slide. To know the Messiah is one must know wisdom. To establish wisdom is to establish the fullness of the character of the Messiah. To be received by the Messiah, one must have received wisdom. It says it right here. Wisdom is absolutely everything. It is the we saw how it connected with Messiah because it is Messiah. And we literally see it is the first of all. It is everything. Absolutely everything. And this is what we're missing out on. As we're being purified in our works and our fruits, we grow in wisdom. Because without wisdom, we are nothing. Without the Son, we are nothing. Wisdom and the Son are one and the same. We're literally nothing. Nothing that we do, if it's without wisdom, it is dead. So, continuing, we have 2 Peter chapter 1 through 13. Okay, and this is the one where it says, adds to your faith, right? Add to your stability, uprightness, knowledge, self-control, endurance, reverence, brotherly affection, love. These are fruits. Notice Solomon says literally you need soberness, understanding, righteousness, and courage, because without it, there's nothing in life more profitable than these. So you notice how all these connections with these other scriptures starts connecting straight back to what Solomon, who's the most wise, who's given the most wisdom, is telling us what we need. And oddly enough, these are things that are in the Ruach. Specifically in Isaiah chapter 11, 1 through 5, it says the Ruach, the Spirit, has the wisdom, spirit of understanding, spirit of counsel, spirit of power, of might, spirit of knowledge, fear. And it says that he will judge, the Son will judge with righteousness and straightness. So there's righteousness there. So that's why in Wisdom chapter 8, it says, for the wisdom is initiated into the knowledge. It's inside the knowledge of the Father, which is intimate closeness of understanding. And she chooses the works of the Most High. And it says, if a man loves righteousness, the fruits of wisdom, labor, are virtues. The fruits of wisdom's labor. If you love righteousness, the fruits of wisdom's labors are, etc., 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 etc. So definitely read more of that chapter. And then you see in Galatians. So people tend to only read this about the fruits, right? You only hear about the fruits of the Spirit in Galatians chapter 5. But you can see clear as day where any of those fruits have derived from, which is ultimately wisdom. But you notice that they're connected to all the other fruits that have also been mentioned with wisdom, in these other scriptures. The character, love, joy, peace, patience. Like if none of these fruits even matched up, it wouldn't make sense in Galatians 5, right? But that's why we have to go back to see what the Hebraic understanding is. Where does this come from? How does he know this? So I would take a screenshot of this specifically too, just to kind of read more into the etymology of these words, because like soberness also has a very interesting concept with the etymology. It means like it has something about savior in it, which is really awesome. So definitely look more into these fruits, right? Let's see here. So it's just a visual. Yes, I'll be saving it, Michelle, as always, and I'll upload it to YouTube too. 2 Peter 1, 5 through 7. So this is another little visual, right? Same thing, but it's a step-by-step process. Your fruits, they have to be grown. And you'll notice too, when you match yourself up to this, it's like, okay, I have faith, but then I have to add to it righteousness. Okay, is my righteousness established? I have to add more knowledge. In order to have more knowledge, I need also, how do I have self-control with the knowledge that I'm gaining? Right? And then within my self-control, within my temperance, how do I understand how to endure? Because it has to be in good soil. And with all that I know and all that I've been able to understand and endure, is my fear of the Most High. How is that? Like, you're literally seeing, and the Most High, he sees it before you do. So it's even more prevalent for us to reflect on ourselves, because he's watching your heart every day. He's watching the conduct and what's in your heart every single day. So if he sees something, let's just say within this here, that you don't have, he's going to make you have, or he's going to put you in a situation where he's going to show you, hey, you don't have all the knowledge that you think you do. Your self-control isn't that well. You still haven't learned to truly endure. I'm talking to myself. Like, these are things that you get disciplined about in your marriage, in your parenting, in your friendships, in how you go about your work life, and how you perceive every single day. These are all fruits that have to be purified, that the Most High wants. Why would we present any of these type of fruits that are not purified? Why? Why would we present that to the Most High that's not purified? That's not grown. That doesn't have like the sweet savor in it. That, like, this is literally going to, you're giving your first fruits of these fruits to the Most High. This is what you're presenting. This is what you're thinking about, what you're doing every single day. All has to do with wisdom. And this is what you're supposed to be. We're supposed to be giving this to the Most High. This is what we're supposed to be presenting to him. This is the walk. This is the narrow way. This is who he's going to come back to see. What did you do? What did you do with the things that I gave you? What did you do with wisdom? And just a note here. Oh, no. You guys can note this for later, so I'm not going to get into Romans at all. But Paul does make some distinctions about the Torah that he's speaking about. So I just wanted to make that a mention. And so, obviously when he's talking about Galatians 5 and the fruits, he does talk about in Galatians, the Torah and not being this and doing that. So you really have to kind of read into it a little bit more, but hopefully you can kind of use this to kind of look back on and really see, especially Romans chapter 6-8, and then kind of read Galatians over again, and you'll see some discrepancies, but try to like replace when he keeps saying Torah. Try to see if it makes more sense to replace it with Torah of law or like the Torah of the Pharisees, because it's a big difference. He's talking about just following it in a religious aspect, just doing it with not the right heart, right? With not the right understanding, without the wisdom, right? So it's a little bit more. You can kind of do more with that. So I just want to make a note, and continuing, just reading straight through, making some notes for you guys to read later. Wisdom chapter 7. So it's talking about wisdom again. So I'm starting at verse 14. For she is a treasure. And I put it like this because this is the order how I like to read it. And I think it was important to kind of just put it in the order that I did. But you don't have to do that. Verse 14, chapter 7. For she is a treasure. Wisdom is a treasure for men that doesn't fail. and those who use it obtain friendship with the Father, commended by the gifts which they present through discipline. But may the Most High grant that I may speak his judgment and to conceive thoughts worthy of what has been given me, because he is one who guides even wisdom and who corrects the wise. He's purifying us, you guys. For both we and our words are in his hand, with all understanding and skill in various crafts. For he himself gave me an unerring knowledge of the things that are, to know the structure of the universe and to the operation of the elements, the beginning, the end, the middle of times, the alternations of the solstices and the changes of the seasons, the circuits of the years and the positions of stars, the natures of living creatures and the raging of wild beasts, the violence of winds and the thoughts of men, the diversities of plants and virtues of roots, and all things that are secret or manifest I learned, for wisdom, that is the architect of all things, taught me. For there is in her a spirit that is quick to understand, holy, unique, manifold, subtle, freely moving, clear in utterance, unpolluted, distinct, unharmed, loving what is good, sharp, unhindered, beneficent, loving toward man, steadfast. We heard that in Munah, faith. Sure, free from care, all powerful, all surveying, and penetrating through all spirits that are quick to understand, pure, most subtle. For wisdom is more mobile than any motion. Yes, she pervades and penetrates all things by reason of her purity. For she is a breath of the power of the Most High. She's a breath of the power of the Most High. Where do we hear that same breath been given to us? Given to Adam and Eve. Or to Adam. To man. And a clear effluence of the glory of the Most High. Therefore, nothing defiled can find entrance into her. Nothing defiled. For she is a reflection of everlasting light, an unspotted mirror of the working of the Most High, and an image of his goodness. So isn't it crazy that this breath of life, this wisdom was given to us that made us alive? And Eve decided to disobey, not access her wisdom. She decided to look at the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil because the enemy deceived her to think that that was going to make her like the image of the Father. That was going to make her, quote unquote, on the same level. When it was already in us. It was already planted into us. So all she had to do, and Adam had to do, was stay in obedience and understanding. But that's the thing. They still had to be purified because they didn't understand that. It's clear as day. They understood to do what they were supposed to do by the scriptures. Just as many people, as you see, will sit there and post different things, tell you what you should do, follow the commandments and things of that nature. But then where's the understanding coming from? On your end, what's being put into your soil? Where's the wisdom that is being manifested in you to bear good fruits? Because it's more than just you reading something and it's just like, oh, that's nice. What are you going to do with it? So are we posting for people to do something with it? Or is it just a post just to show people that, oh, I'm reading, I got a cool little scripture, I'm still current, keep following me? Like, that's not, like, we got to post, for our growth. Like, give someone something for them to grow with. Continuing. Verse 27. She being one, has power to do all things. Wisdom, remaining in herself, she renews all things from generation to generation, passing into holy souls. She makes friends. Wisdom makes friends of the Father and prophets. Look at this. The Most High loves nothing as much as one who dwells with wisdom. He only loves the ones who are dwelling with wisdom. Wisdom is absolutely everything. Watch this. She is fairer than the sun and above all the constellation of the stars. She is better than the light. For daylight yields to night, but evil does not prevail against wisdom. The luminaries won't save you. Telling people what Shabbat or doing these things with no wisdom won't save you. Doing everything in wisdom saves you. There's a truth. There's a full truth that comes from wisdom. But you have to let wisdom have her perfect work in you. So just because someone may sit there and say something that you may not understand, like, for example, the luminaries, like, I never thought I would understand it. But at the same time, when I really read it and I actually dedicated myself and say, you know what? How can I say that if I know the Most High? If I ask him such things, he will give it to me. Why wouldn't he help me understand it? And from there on, he gave it to me. But it was over time that you follow the Ruach. You follow what he's giving you. But you can't understand anything without wisdom. Just because you know something, you have knowledge of something, you say something someone else said, or you say different things that you think you're understanding, or whatever you may be getting, it may not always be fully developed yet. And you have to acknowledge that because you're not perfect. We are not perfect. So anything that I present on this account, anything that I teach, can always be developed more, and it should be. Always. Typically, you guys probably won't end up correcting me, quote unquote. I mean, if there's something that I end up saying that was off, I always say, tell me. I can put in the story easily, but oh yeah, if I confirm that it was wrong or something like that, then yeah. Right? Do it in love. Do it, hey, brother, like, this. But typically, I'm trying to be very careful, because why would I come on here and present something that is not true? Why would I do that? So everything has to be framework. You guys see how we did it from the beginning. You guys see, yes, we take our time. I have to spend time on this because it's important. So it's not just going to be 30 minutes to an hour or something like that just for me to just be like, let me. No, the Most High gave me this in a time of heavy spiritual warfare that I was going through with my family, still going through it. But he gave me this and said, this is what you must have. This is why this is not working. This is why you're failing at this. This is why you can't move forward here. This is why I'm trying to do this for you, but you can't get here because you don't have this enough in you. I need you to see this. This is why you tell the people, this is why they also can't get past a certain point, because we need true wisdom, which is everything. It's the architect of everything. Everything. Let me read a comment real quick. Oh, I'm sorry, Claudia. Oh, you're awake. That's why. Okay. All praises. He provided that wisdom. It's funny how his prophets always bring the knowledge of them and creating creation up. They are deep things of the Father, but if his friends have wisdom. Exactly. Bro. So that's the thing. Moses was called a friend of the Most High. Moses was given the Torah. Now, I'm actually it's going to be something fire at the end that's going to connect with this. But these prophets, they all spent time with the Father. They all had understanding. I mean, Enoch alone, he wanted to know absolutely everything. So we see Solomon it said in scriptures that he was the wisest because he literally asked for wisdom. He could ask for anything else, and the Father would have probably gave it to him. But he made him the wisest. So if you see Enoch with wisdom, and Solomon, quote unquote, is the wisest, I mean, Enoch is up there. Sirach is up there. Sirach even says that his grandfather, was mirrored to Solomon in his wisdom, was no less famous for it. So, I mean, it's Baruch, Jeremiah, like all these guys. Abraham spent time, according to Jasher, in the Word, seeking wisdom from Shem, right? From Shem and Eber, I believe. I mean, Noah, the only reason why was able to do certain things because he learned from Enoch. He learned from Enos, I believe. Maybe not Enos, but there were so many things that was happening for knowledge and growth to be learned. And why do you think fallen angels? Because they saw who we are. They saw what the plan for what the Most High did to us as his creation, as his image. These fallen angels didn't want us to be either higher than them or on the same level. And it's not a battle, right, to be on a quote unquote certain level, because the angels that reside around the Most High and the Son, they all are locked in. But that scripture that does say that they're looking into the things that men have been given. Let's see. Somebody might put it already. It says, I think it's 1 Peter 1:12. It says, unto them it was revealed that they minister not unto themselves, but unto us the things which are now reported unto you by those who have preached the gospel unto you, with the Spirit sent down from heaven, things which the angels desire to look into. So even they're looking into what's going on and what has been developed in us. But we see that same breath of life literally has been wisdom this whole entire time, who is literally the Messiah. So these prophets understood what everything was about, but also they were also able to meet the Son. They had revelations of the Son. I mean, it's so much. It can go. But I like what you said about the friends. The friends. As we see here, Wisdom chapter 7. Or was that 8? Wisdom chapter 7, verse 27. Wisdom makes friends of the Most High and prophets. So, well, let's continue. So let's go to chapter, I already read chapter 8, so you guys can read obviously more of that, but that was the chapter where it obviously says the fruits of wisdom's labor. Okay. Let's go to chapter 6 now. So I'm going to read, and this chapter was, interestingly enough, for kings. Solomon was trying to write this to kings. Imagine if Nebuchadnezzar would have got this letter first. Maybe he would have made a better choice and wouldn't have to eat with goats and beasts and stuff. Be made a beast. So chapter 6, verse 9. Therefore my words are to you, O princes, or O people, O laborers who are trying to produce, right, the true fruit of wisdom, that you may learn wisdom and not fall away. For those who have kept the things that are holy in holiness will be made holy. If you tarnish the holy thing, if you corrupt the things that are holy, feast days, luminaries, scriptures, like all like truth and knowledge, if you corrupt these things that are holy, you will not be made holy. You cannot be made complete. You cannot be truly set apart. Because we're corrupting it. Continuing. For those who have kept the things that are holy in holiness will be made holy. Those who have been taught them will find what to say in defense. Therefore, set your desire on my words. Long for them, and you princes will be instructed. Wisdom is radiant and doesn't fade away and is easily seen by those who love her, found by those who seek her. You can also say, in connection with obviously her, with wisdom, it's also the sun. She anticipates those who desire her, making herself known. He who rises up early to seek her won't have difficulty, for he will find her sitting at his gate. So you'll find more connections, understanding, okay, this is what I should do every day. This is how I should go about this every day. Because remember, we talked about the fruits. You're not going to get everything right away. Your zeal is warranted in how you love what you're reading and searching, and you dive into what you're diving into, but then that's a season, right? There's a season for something else. Something may end up coming at you where you may kind of get that zeal a little shaken. That doesn't mean you fall away. It may be a time for discipline, but only by discernment, spiritual discernment, you'll be able to know the times for everything. But you take your time. You allow him to give it to you the right way. He who rises up early, verse 15, for to think upon her is perfection of understanding. You can even think upon wisdom, because now your thoughts are pure. And he who watches for her quickly will be quickly free from care of this world, free from the cares of this world. So isn't it interesting, you guys? Second Esdras, chapter 14. What does the Most High tell? Was it 14, y'all? What does the Most High tell Esdras? He says, verse 13 in chapter 14, second Esdras, set your house in order, reprove your people, comfort them that be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. Let go from your mortal thoughts. Cast away the burdens of man. Put off now the weak nature. Set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste you to flee from these times. So by desiring her and by waking up early to seek her, and in verse 15, to think upon her as perfection of understanding, you're essentially literally getting rid of your weak thoughts, your weak nature. I'm honestly going to practice just carrying around my word everywhere I go, even in the house. Because you got to understand, like I know for me, as soon as I open my eyes, spiritual warfare is like starting up. Like, I know it sounds crazy, and it's not that I'm like living in a bad situation at all, with my wife and my children, but it's just the nature of the battle. When you're trying to grow in certain levels, like it's just what it is. And it's hard sometimes, because sometimes you really think in your mind, like, damn, like, why can't it just be like, just chill, or, but that's not the point. It's not the point. Right? So I'm like, if I have my word on me in my hand, walking around with it, let's just say you get upset. You try to carry your word more in your hand than your phone. Crack the scriptures open and be like, okay, what does wisdom say? What does wisdom say? Okay, I need to understand this. All right, he says, don't let my anger go down, and blah 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 blah. Okay, Abba, please help me. Like,
What if we did that? So I'm going to try it. Funny, I was just reading about wisdom yesterday in Sirach, and now it's hitting home on a deeper level. I mean, wisdom has been on my mind a ton lately too, bro. I'm telling you, like I couldn't even continue with spiritual warfare. Like that's why I just follow the Most High. Whatever He wants me to do, I'm not trying to rush and produce teachings and all that stuff like that. Like it's just really whatever He has for us in these times. This is what He has, and this is truly edifying because it's truly things that we really need. It's truly things that we really need. How to really walk this life. Like it's all this other stuff that has been projected on this walk is just nuts. But if it's without wisdom, you can easily red flag it. Easily. All right, let's continue. We're almost done. We're on chapter 6. Then we're going to go 9 through 11. It's not that long, okay? So, verse 6. So I'm going to go to verse 16. Because she herself goes around seeking those who are worthy of her, in their paths she appears to them graciously. She's seeking those who are worthy of her. And in their paths she appears to them graciously. To be worthy of her means you're producing your fruits. You're trying to give your first fruits, the fruits of the Spirit, right, that we learned about or that we saw here. Let me pull this little. These things that we're doing within wisdom, this is what's worthy of her. These things that we are getting constantly purified on and going through and trying to grow in, these are the things that wisdom is around, that she dwells in this. This is what she dwells in. This is how she understands or she sees who's worthy of her. Facts. Yes, Jules. Our paths really have to be clear. We won't see certain things until we do. That's why it's a narrow path. If it's a path leading to the sun, it got to be clear because that's who He's coming for. It's like, it's nothing else. It's truly nothing else. And in His mercy, He knows who's striving, but He wants a grape out of the grape cluster. The ones who truly fought and strove to the end, all in wisdom. And we'll continue, but we're going to see some more in here. Verse 17, for her true beginning is desire for instruction, and desire for instruction is love. I've read this plenty of times, but it just hits deeper. And love is observance of her instructions. To give heed to her instructions confirms your immortality. What is the Son going to do when He comes back? The Son, for those who are dead in righteousness, He pulls them up first to receive their heavenly body. And for those who are alive in the time when He returns, then they come up with Him as well to receive their heavenly body, which is perfection, immortality. So we're talking about wisdom, that you're giving heed to her, to wisdom. It confirms, it makes your election sure. Are you serious? Let's continue. Oh my gosh. Verse 19. Immortality brings closeness to the Father. So then desire for wisdom promotes to a kingdom. Seek ye first the kingdom of the Father and the Son, and all will be added to you. If I'm not mistaken, shouldn't we only want true wisdom? Because all will be added to us either way. He's going to take care of us. Like, there's nothing more in this walk that we should want other than wisdom. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Only wisdom. Let's go to chapter 9. Y'all mind if I go take a 2-minute and go use the restroom again, as always, drinking all this water. Then we still got some more to read. What time are we on? It don't even matter about the time. It never matters. Go grab you some fruit snacks. Grab you some water, some coffee. I'll be back in about a minute, 30 seconds, or 2 minutes. We got some more heat to read. It's not done. You already know I'm gonna end it on a nice little like a gut punch. So it's not done. So give me 1 second, y'all. Imagine it's hilarious. Imagine, like, I was thinking I don't want to be a pastor, obviously, but it was a pastor talking to the congregation and be like, "Oh wait, hold up, y'all. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick." People would think that's so unprofessional. But I don't care. Like, I gotta use the restroom. All right, I'll be right back, y'all. All right, I'm back. Everybody good? It was funny. I probably do this every lesson. All right, Mikhail. Isaiah, here we go. All right, y'all. So I am back. All right, so we're on chapter 9 of wisdom now. Okay, we're gonna read through this. All right, so it says, "O Abba of the fathers, the Elohim of mercy, who made all things by your word." That's easy connection with the Son and with wisdom. "And by your wisdom," oh, there it is, "you formed man that he should have dominion over the creatures that were made by you." So this is Wisdom chapter 9, y'all. "And rule the world in holiness and righteousness, and execute judgment in uprightness of soul." Okay? Formed the man, so we see that breath of life literally was wisdom that was poured into man, that he should have dominion over the creatures that were made by them, and rule over the world in holiness and righteousness, and execute judgment in uprightness of soul. Verse 4, "Give me wisdom, her who sits by you on your thrones. Don't reject me from among your servants, because I am your servant and the son of your handmaid, a weak and short-lived man with little power to understand judgment and laws. For even if a man is perfect among the sons of men, if the wisdom that comes from you is not with him, he will count for nothing." Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my gosh. Let me read that one more time. For even if a man is perfect among the sons of men, right? You think someone is super perfect on the gram, let's say, if the wisdom that comes from you or from them is not with him, he will count for nothing. Okay? You can find different connections on that. It says, verse 7, you chose me to be the king of your people. This is Solomon speaking, and a judge for your sons and daughters. You gave a command to build a sanctuary on your holy mountain and an altar in the city where you pitch your tent, a copy of the holy tent which you prepared from the beginning. Wisdom is with you and knows your works and was present when you were making the world and understands what is pleasing in your eyes and what is right according to your commandments. Send her from the holy heavens and ask her to come from the throne of your glory, that being present with me, she may work, she may bring fruit, and I may learn what pleases you well. For she knows all things and understands that she will guide me soberly in my actions. Soberly in my actions. She will guard me in her glory, so my works will be acceptable. I will judge your people righteously. I will be worthy of my father's throne, who his dad was David. For what man will know the counsel of the Most High, or who will conceive what the Most High wills? For the thoughts of mortals are unstable, and our plans are prone to fail. For a corruptible body weighs down the soul. The earthy frame lies heavy on a mind that is full of cares. You guys see how we read 2 Esdras chapter 14. It says to get rid of those cares of your mind, right? Your weak nature. Then we read in Wisdom chapter 6, where it talks about that that the observance of her laws is love, and to give heed to her laws, it confirms immortality. And immortality brings closeness to the Most High. So when you're on a path of trying to be as trying to literally be away and separate, set apart from a corruptible body, from a corruptible thoughts, from corruptible your mindset and your actions. What happens is it's easily saying here that the corruptible body, it weighs down all those things, and you're not able to truly walk in wisdom. You're not able to have strong thoughts in the Most High that are not your own thoughts. It's the Most High thoughts. It's wisdom's thoughts. Everything is going to flow through wisdom when you truly seek it and you truly have it. So therefore, we won't be able to fall. We won't fall. The Spirit has wisdom in it. So we have the Spirit who say we do, who says that you have the Spirit, then that means you would have wisdom. That means you would have knowledge, counsel. You would have the things that it says that are in the Spirit. Isaiah 11, 1-5. In which, in all these things that you see in this table here, would have these fruits that are coming from wisdom. That's if we truly walk in wisdom, right? We're trying to get away from anything that is corrupt. Let's go to verse 17. Who gained knowledge of your counsel unless you gave wisdom? There it is. Who gained knowledge of your counsel unless you gave wisdom? And sent your Holy Spirit, your Ruach, from the highest. It was so that the ways of those who are on the earth were corrected, purified. Your fruits were purified. You have to be corrected. We have to be disciplined. And men were taught the things that are pleasing to you. They were saved through wisdom. My goodness. Chapter 10. Wisdom chapter 10. Wisdom guarded to the end the first formed father of the world, who was created alone, and delivered him out of his own transgression, and gave him strength to get dominion over all things. But when an unrighteous man fell away from her in his anger, he perished himself in the rage which he killed his own brother. Who's that talking about? Cain. So in this chapter is going to give you a little bit more connections, and some of you guys can help me with. I think I missed one or two of them. And write it on the comments who you think it is. So verse 4, when for his cause the earth was drowning with the flood, wisdom again saved it, guiding the righteous man's course by a poor piece of wood. We know who that is Noah. Y'all, wisdom. Like that's all we need. Wisdom, obviously, you guys know, righteousness and fear is always connected to it, of course. So, but wisdom it encompasses all things, every single thing. Let's see here. Verse 5. Moreover, when nations consenting together in wickedness had been confounded, wisdom knew the righteous man, preserved him blameless to the Most High, and kept him strong when his heart yearned toward his child. I believe that's Abraham, right? While the ungodly were perishing, wisdom delivered a righteous man when he fled from the fire that descended out of heaven on Pentapolis. So that's technically, what's his name? I forget his name. Abraham's cousin. Dang, what's his name? It started with an L, I believe. Lot, there it is. See, people be disrespecting Lot, and it said he was a righteous man. I'm telling you. I think I had talked about that before. I've been disrespecting him because they always think about what happened with his daughters. But Ruth came from there. I'm just saying. Anyway, it's not to say that that was okay. Anyway, let's go to verse 7. To whose wickedness a smoking waste. You know what? Real quick. Back to Lot real quick. Please mark this down with Lot. Okay? I have to say this. It's in Acts. It's talking about Lot was vexed. Okay? And actually, no, this is in 2 Peter chapter 2:8. Okay? This is very important because if it's talking about this man was a righteous man, that many people don't equate him as being righteous, Lot being righteous. I think it's very interesting to really understand the point also when it says that the first formed man in his transgression was delivered. We know that the Son, the Father, like the Son is a savior. So we know through our transgressions, he's saving us. Okay. So it says here in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 4, for if the Most High did not spare angels when they sinned, but sent them to hell, putting them in chains of darkness to be held for judgment, if he did not spare the ancient world when he brought the flood on his ungodly people, but protected Noah, a preacher of righteousness, and 7 others, if he condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah by burning them to ashes and made them an example of what is going to happen to the ungodly, and if he rescued Lot, a righteous man who was distressed by the depraved conduct of the lawless. He was distressed. That's another word, vexed for the KJV, by the depraved conduct of the lawless. I get weary on this account sometimes, looking at all this like division and all this stuff that's going on, and you have to get away from it. You have to get away from like the problems that are happening and the way we're not living out true wisdom in our walk, even on these accounts when we're able to share with each other and connect with our brothers and sisters. But even in a physical sense, when you're around ungodliness, it also does affect you, right? So Lot, in living in Sodom and Gomorrah, because of all the stuff that happened, you could read in Jasher, all the things that was happening in Sodom and Gomorrah. I think that would distress you. All the things that they were doing over there, killing people and the stuff that they had going on, it was nuts. So he was still living in there, right? Yes, a little leaven leavens the lump, right? So it's like he was distressed. So continuing, verse 8, for that righteous man living among them day after day was tormented in his righteous soul by the lawless deeds he saw and he heard. If this is so, then the Most High knows how to rescue the godly from trials and to hold the unrighteous for punishment on the day of judgment. This is especially true of those who follow the corrupt desire of the flesh and despise the authority of wisdom. Just wanted to make sure that was said. I got you, Lot. I got you. Got you. Your legacy is safe with me. I'm just kidding. Let's continue. Going back to Wisdom chapter 10. And that's like us, we're in Babylon, right? It's the same thing. That's why the enemy wants to do that to us. Look at another word coming out. Enemy wants to vex us to make sure we don't have that true wisdom. But come out of Babylon, my people. All right. Let me continue. Chapter 10, we are going on verse 7. My goodness. To whose wickedness a smoking waste, whose wickedness a smoking waste still witnesses, and plants bearing fair fruit that doesn't ripen, a disbelieving soul has a memorial, a standing pillar of salt. Talking about his wife. Nah. Talking about his wife. Look at this. Though to whose wickedness a smoking waste still witnesses, and plants bearing fair fruit that doesn't ripen. We talked about that earlier. A disbelieving soul has a memorial of fruit that wasn't ripe, which was standing pillar of salt. So interestingly enough, you are the salt of the world, right? You are the salt of the world. Matthew 5:13. You are the salt. Matthew 5:13 through 16. You are the salt of the earth. So if the salt loses its saltiness, if the fruit loses its juiciness, its sweetness, its savor, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. What did the other scriptures say about the branches not bearing fruit? That the Father will take those branches away from the vine, who is the Son, who is wisdom. If you're not bearing fruit of wisdom, you're going to be taken away. We are going to be taken away if we're not bearing fruit of wisdom. Father literally was telling me this in the midst of me being attacked spiritually and failing, because I still went back into my flesh. And still I was disturbed because I'm like, man, I like, why am I still? I know what I need to do, right? And I've been trying to practice it, but I failed again. But I can do better, but I need to understand. Like, Abba, like, I need to understand why fully. And he's like, you got to continue to lock in on wisdom. I'm still purifying you. You still got to find out more about this wisdom that you may have, but you got to get more. You need wisdom to truly be there every single time with spiritual warfare. Because when you don't have wisdom in spiritual warfare, it's wraps for you. Just because you think you have wisdom or you feel it, you got to make sure you're making your election sure, making sure you have it all the way. Because even just an ounce of it not being in you could tear you up because of the enemy being able to find the little gaps, find the little loopholes. But that's the thing. We are not without sin. So that's where we fall short. And that's the reason why we can only do it through the vine, who is the Son. That's why we're walking through him. Oh my goodness, bro. The fruit that doesn't ripen. You want me to say it again, Jules? Like, or you're just saying it in a sense, like, can you say it again? Oh, real quick. This was one of the connections. So take a screenshot of this one. But this is what we connected with the ripe fruit earlier, when we were talking about Noah planting the fruit, and basically it takes time, right? Fruits take time to grow, right? So, and I'm happy you actually said that, because this is actually good for us to kind of just review quickly the fruits, right? So it takes time for it to grow. We talked about that with the fruits, and then we went into the first fruits. Okay, so we use all these scriptures to understand the ripening of the fruits, and the growth of how I think it was Numbers 13:20. So that one was better to use for ripe, completely developed and collected or eaten. Okay, and then we understood the wisdom portion, and then we connected it with all the fruits of wisdom that's within wisdom, to where we're presenting him our ripe fruit. He's coming for those who have ripe fruit that are built in him, through him, that is connected to his vine. And then what's concordance website to use? I use a lot of them. There's different lexicons. It's not one. Blue Letter is pretty good. I really like Blue Letter a lot. Strong's has a website. So I just try to use as many as I can that make sure it's connected. It was just as you were talking about Lot's wife. I can go back and listen. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. It probably just passed. I'm sorry. I don't know what I specifically said either. Yeah, it'll probably come back. I have no idea. All right, so let's continue. We are on chapter 10. Chapter 10 of wisdom. All right. Let's see here. So going to verse, where are we at? Verse 9? Oh, verse 7. So I'll read that. So, to whose wickedness a smoking waste still witnesses, and plants bearing fair fruit that doesn't ripen. There it is. I'm sorry. Plants bearing fair fruit that doesn't ripen. A disbelieving soul has a memorial, a standing pillar of salt. Okay. So Lot's wife is essentially being connected to a disbelieving soul whose fruits never ripened. So Lot is considered a believing soul whose fruits were technically ripe, especially for the angels, for the Most High to send those angels to get him out of destruction. So you can kind of like go in on that one, and connecting those dots too. But I mean, it's literally saying Lot's wife is a whole memorial for us to connect, of a disbelieving soul without wisdom, whose fruits were not ripe. It's interesting because the ones who are going to make it in the end fully are the ones whose fruits are ripe, who literally had wisdom, who were locked into him the whole entire time, because we endured to the end. Like, and the ones who aren't, it does say that there's like an apostasy, the ones who are accepting the mark of the beast, like those people who are disbelieving will not make it and ultimately connect with the memorial of a disbelieving soul whose fruits were not bared, whose fruits were not ripe. I'm sorry. It's a lot you can connect with that one. That's very interesting. But let's continue. Verse 8. For having passed wisdom by, not only were they disabled from recognizing the things which are good, but they also left behind them for their life a monument of their folly, to the end that where they stumbled, they might fail even to be unseen. But wisdom delivered those who waited on her out of troubles. When a righteous man was a fugitive from a brother's wrath, Jacob, wisdom guided him in straight paths. This is when I believe this is the one with Jacob when Esau was trying to kill Jacob. Could be talking about that one. I'm pretty sure. She showed him. So wisdom showed him, wisdom showed Jacob the father's kingdom or the son's kingdom and gave him knowledge of holy things. She prospered him in his toils and multiplied the fruits of his labor. When in their covetousness men dealt harshly with him, she stood by him and made him rich. She guarded him from the enemies, and she kept him safe from those who lay in wait. Over his severe conflict, she watched as judge, so that he might know that godliness is more powerful than everyone. Wow. When a righteous man was sold, wisdom didn't forsake him, but she delivered him from sin. Who was that? Joseph. She went down with him into Daniel. You'll see. When a righteous man was sold, When a righteous man was sold, wisdom didn't forsake him, but she delivered him from sin. She went down with him into a dungeon, and in bonds she didn't depart from him, until she brought him the scepter of a kingdom and authority over those that dealt tyrannously with him. She also showed those who had mockingly accused him to be false and gave him eternal glory. So I believe that was Daniel, because he's the only one that really went into a dungeon, and the people that tried to, catch him slipping with the whole praying thing in the decree, right? With the king, try to get him to die in that dungeon, get killed by the lions, but the Most High delivered him. But ultimately, if this is Daniel here, we see that wisdom. Oh, Joseph was in prison. Yeah, I don't know. This is dealt tyrannously with him. I don't know. Y'all can message me on that one, because it could be Joseph. I would agree. So I don't know. I like that one. Could be Joseph, could be Daniel. Y'all look into it for me. Verse 15, wisdom delivered a holy people and a blameless seed from a nation of oppressors. She entered into the soul of a servant of the Most High and withstood terrible kings and wonders and signs. She rendered to holy men a reward of their toils. She guided them along a marvelous way and became to them a covering in the daytime and a flame of stars through the night. Y'all realize here it's saying wisdom. Wisdom was doing this. And you guys know that the angel who was bearing the Most High's name was also guiding the Israelites. They're one and the same. So it's saying wisdom was guiding them. Wisdom was guiding them in a marvelous way and became to them a covering in the daytime and a flame of stars through the night. She brought them over the Red Sea and led them through much water. But she drowned their enemies and she cast them up from the bottom of the deep. Therefore the righteous plundered the ungodly, and they sang praise to your holy name and extolled with one accord your hand that fought for them. Because wisdom opened the mouth of the mute and made the tongues of babes to speak clearly. Wisdom. Okay, so I'm not going to read 11. I think I'm supposed to read 11 through, let's see here. I'll read verse 16. I'll read verse 16 and down. So Wisdom chapter 11. So it says, that they might learn that by what things a man sins, by these he is punished. For your all-powerful hand that created the world out of a formless matter matter didn't lack means to send upon them a multitude of bears, fierce lions, or newly created and unknown wild beasts, full of rage, either breathing out a blast of fiery breath, or belching out smoke, or flashing dreadful sparks from their eyes, which had power not only to consume them by their violence, but to destroy them even by the terror of their sight. Yes, and without these they might have fallen by a single breath, being pursued by justice and scattered abroad by the breath of your power, but you arranged all things by measure, number, and weight. For to be greatly strong is yours at all times. Who could withstand the might of your arm? Because the whole world before you is as a grain in a balance, and as a drop of dew that comes down upon the earth in the morning. Wow. But you have mercy on all men, because you have power to do all things, and you overlook the sins of men to the end that they may repent. What did we talk about in that other study with the sins of commission and omission, things of that nature? For you love all things that are, and abhor none of the things which you have made. For you never would have formed anything if you hated it. How would anything have endured unless you had willed it? Or that which was not called by you, how would it have been preserved? But you spare all things because they are yours, O Abba, you lover of lives. He literally, the breath of life literally was wisdom. Had the Son breathed through us, whom we go through him, only way we can go through to the Father is through him. And through his great mercy, he's able to purify our fruits, purify us, setting us apart from this flesh, in order that we may dwell with wisdom, whom is his Son. You can't like your brain, like our carnal brain can't. We can only feel it in our ruach. Like you can understand it, but your brain is just like it can't withhold what your spirit can feel. So thank him for his ruach, because we would probably utterly melt right now. I don't know. Like, it's just, wow. Sheesh, man. All right, let's continue. I got Sirach chapter 35 on here. Let's see what that says. Yeah. So now this is going to even make more sense, right? So Sirach chapter 35, okay? Sirach 35. So we're still understanding the fruits of wisdom, okay? So watch how this connects. Sirach chapter 35, or Ecclesiasticus. He that keeps the Torah, the instructions of wisdom, multiplies offerings. He that takes heed to the commandments sacrifices a peace offering. Excuse me. He that returns a favor offers fine flour, and he that gives alms sacrifices a thank offering. To depart from the wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Most High, and to depart from unrighteousness is an atoning sacrifice. See that you appear not in the presence of the Most High empty. Did we not talk about those first fruits that we're presenting to the Most High, to the Son? So we're not supposed to appear empty and give these first fruits of wisdom that is within us, within our spirit, and these sacrifices that we see, thank offering, peace offering, literally taking heed to his commandments, everything is connected with wisdom. Verse 5, for all these things are to be done because of the commandment. The offering of the righteous makes the altar fat, and the sweet savor thereof is before the Most High. The sacrifice of a righteous man is acceptable, and the memorial thereof will not be forgotten. See, we see what a memorial of sin connected to, and now we see a memorial of righteousness is actually acceptable for the Most High. Verse 8, glorify the Most High with a good eye, watch this, and stint not the first fruits of your hands. In every gift, show a cheerful countenance and dedicate your tithe with gladness. Give to the Most High according as he has given, and as your hand has found, give with a good eye. For the Most High recompenses, and he will recompense you sevenfold. See how when you sow, yes, even with the talents, when you give, when you made more from what he gave you, he's even bringing you back. He's giving you more for your labors. So that's not, motivation to do it, but we're still doing it because, like we talked about with wisdom in chapter 6, it says her true beginning is a desire for instruction. So you're not motivated because you're going to get anything back. You're motivated because you're desiring for his truth, for his wisdom. And then you're motivated because the desire for that instruction, you truly love it. And then when you love wisdom, it says love is observance of her laws. So you're truly trying to walk in her, being purified in her. To give heed to her confirms immortality. Immortality brings closeness with him, and the desire for wisdom promotes to a kingdom. So when it says, seek ye first the kingdom of the Most High, and it will all be given to you, why be motivated by him giving you things giving it back to you sevenfold? He's already going to do it. So interestingly enough, he said, why would you even worry about what you will eat, what you will... Verse 12, think not to corrupt with gifts, for he will not receive them. There it is. And set not your mind on an unrighteous sacrifice. There it is. For the Most High is judge, and with him is no respect of persons. He will not accept any person against a poor man, and he will listen to the prayer of him that is wrong. He will in no wise despise the supplication of the fatherless, nor the widow. When she pours out her tale, do not the tears of the widow run down her cheek? And is not her cry against him that has caused them to fail? He that serves the Most High, the Father, and the Son, according to his good pleasure, will be accepted. Again, he that serves Abba through the Son, according to his good pleasure, will be accepted. His supplication will reach the clouds. Going back to Wisdom, chapter what was it? I can't find it, but it did say, sorry, y'all. I got all this stuff underlined. But at least in chapter 7, those who obtain, who use wisdom, obtain friendship with the Most High, with the Son, right? And he corrects the wise. And I don't know. I thought it's in here, but it was basically talking about that the Most High will accept those basically who have the wisdom, who are only trying to walk in wisdom, in a sense. That's just a paraphrase. So let me just continue because we have some more to read. So going back, so verse 16, he that serves the Most High according to his good pleasure will be accepted, and his supplication will reach to the clouds. The prayer of the humble, of the meek, pierces the clouds, and until it come near, he will not be comforted. He will not depart until the Most High will visit, and he will judge righteously and execute judgment. And the Son will not be slack, neither will he be patient toward them until he have crushed the loins of the unmerciful. That telling you, bro, it's all this connected. The main portion of the Jonah study was about mercy. And he will repay vengeance to the heathen until he have taken away the multitude of the arrogant and broken into pieces the scepters of the unrighteous, until he have rendered to every man according to his doings. And he works in the works of men according to their own plans, until he have judged the cause of his people. And he will make them rejoice in his mercy. Mercy is seasonable in the time of his afflicting them, as clouds of rain in the time of drought. So, man, it's funny. Isn't this interesting? Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Most High. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and a future. Then you will call on me and come to pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. I will be found by you, declares the Most High, and I will bring you back from captivity. I will gather you from all the nations and places where I have banished you, declares the Father, and will bring you back to the place from which I carried you into exile. So now it hits different. It hits more. It hits way different, because he's saying in Sirach chapter 35 that he's going to render to every man according to his doings, and he works of men according to their own plans. So if we following his plans of wisdom that he already had for us since the beginning of us, when he formed us, yeah, man, that's wild. Let's keep it going, yo. Let's see what else I have. John 4:23 through 24. So let's get into the close. We're getting closer. Yet a time is coming, and has now come, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in the Spirit and in truth. Remember, I told you guys you have to go find it. It was 3rd Esdras. It was 3rd Esdras, chapter 4, 38 through 40 and 60. Okay. So it talks about in that chapter that the Spirit of truth, and it's connecting it obviously to the Messiah, to the wisdom. And it ends up saying in that verse 60 that Ezra was thanking the Most High for his wisdom. Okay, so we see it in here. The true worshipers will worship the Father in the Spirit, who has wisdom, and in truth, who is wisdom, for they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks. The Most High is that Spirit, and his worshipers must worship in spirit and in truth. He is wisdom. The Son was created in the spirit of wisdom, in the spirit of counsel, right? And then you will even find the 7 spirits of the Father technically would be connected to the Isaiah chapter 11, where it says it here. It says it somewhere in Revelation. But you notice that the Son has been given the same exact things. And it says that the Son will breathe in the fear of the Father. So that's why when you read John chapter, I believe, 16, when he's praying to the Father, he's saying, like, I am in you and you in me, and exalt me so that I may be exalted on earth, or something. That whole beautiful chapter where he's praying to the Father. And I mean, you connect it back to that. It gets even deeper. It's just, yeah. Oh man, it's so many connections. It's just so many connections. But he's looking for those who worship in true wisdom, in the spirit of wisdom, spirit of counsel, and the spirit of power, spirit of knowledge, understanding. He's in fear. He's looking for those. Everything, all those things are encompassed in wisdom. He's looking only for those in wisdom. This is the time. The time is here where he's looking for those true worshipers. Next one. Okay. So this one is fire. I think this is the last. Is this the last slide? Yeah, the second to last slide. So Matthew 25. This one is fire. So the parable of the 10 virgins. Okay, so I'm going to read it and I'm going to connect something. At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 of them were wise. 5 of them were foolish and 5 of them were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps but did not take any oil with them. The wise ones, however, took oil in jars along with their lamps. The bridegroom was a long time in coming, and they all became drowsy and fell asleep. The wise ones, however, took oil in the jars along with their wisdom. Verse 6, at midnight the cry rang out, "Here's the bridegroom, come to meet him." Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, "Give us some of your wisdom," aka oil. "Our lamps are going out." "No," they replied. Oh, wait. Hold on, y'all. I got the connection here. Another connection. Ooh. Okay. Matthew 10:16. Matthew 10:16 real quick, you guys. Wow. Sorry. Man. It'll be coming to my ruach. Just okay. Matthew. Okay, I'm sending you. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I get the right translation. Sorry, y'all. That's not the one, I think. Okay. Yeah. As many as be wise. Oh, it's a scripture. As many as be wise. As much as them as be wise. Enoch. I'll find it. I'm pretty sure it's Enoch chapter 98. I'm pretty sure. But let's continue, y'all. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go to verse 7. Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish one said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil. Our lamps are going out." "No," they replied. "There may not be enough for both of us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves." Okay, so there is a scripture in Enoch when it does talk about when the wise will be silent at a certain point in time. Okay, so you guys will just mark that down. The wise will be silent at a certain point in time. And then it does say somewhere, as many as them who are being wise. It's probably in Revelation, where those who are the ones who understand the times are watching, still abiding in wisdom, right? Still with the fruits and understanding what's going on in the times, so that way they're not deceived and still enduring to the end. So just make a note of that. Verse 10, but while they were on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later, the others also came, said, Messiah, Messiah, they said, open the door for us. And he replied, truly, I tell you, I don't know you. I don't know you. Therefore, keep watch. We talked about that word earlier, because you do not know the day or the hour. Keep watch. Keep watch. Keep your fruits growing. Keep watch. I want to read the rest of this. I think my timer is probably going to go out for IG Live. But read the rest of this whole thing, chapter 25. The sheeps and the goats. Okay, so I got to connect the oil for the lamp. So Exodus 27. Okay, Exodus 27. This is pure oil. 20 through 21. Command the Israelites to bring you clear oil of pressed olives for the light, so that the lamps may be kept burning. In the tent of meeting outside the curtain that shields the ark of the covenant law. You guys, that shields the ark of the covenant law, the Torah, that was the tablets that were put inside the ark. It was in a tent of meeting, and there was a curtain in front of it. Okay. Aaron and his sons are to keep the lamps burning before the Most High from evening till morning. This is to be a lasting ordinance among the Israelites for the generations to come. Now, some of y'all already see it like, oh my gosh. So Exodus 40, okay? Exodus 40, you'll find out how the setup of the tabernacle was. Okay, so it says in verse 3, oh, this is very interesting. Then the Most High said to Moses, set up the tabernacle, the tent of meeting, on the first day of the first month. Place the ark of the covenant law in it, and shield the ark with the curtain. Okay. Bring in the table and set out what belongs on it. Then bring in the lampstand and set up its lamps. Place the gold altar in front of it with the incense in front of the altar of the covenant law, and put the curtain at the entrance to the tabernacle. To place the altar of burnt offering in front of the entrance to the tabernacle, the tent of meeting. Place the basin between the tent of meeting and the altar, and put water in it. Okay. So you see how awesome this is presented, right? So notice how later on down in here, verse 34, it says, the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Most High filled the tabernacle. Moses could not enter the tent of meeting. The friend of the Father, right? The friend of the Son could not enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled on it, and the glory of the Father filled the tabernacle. In all the travels of the Israelites, whenever the cloud lifted above the tabernacle, they would set out. But if the cloud did not lift, they did not set out until the day it lifted. So the cloud of the Most High was over the tabernacle by day, and the fire was in the cloud by night, in the sight of all the Israelites during all their travels. So I put here just a note, you can look into it, that it could be also representing the cloud in the day, fire in the cloud at night. Luke 3:16, where it says, John the Baptist, he says that I came to baptize by water, but the Son will baptize by fire. By fire and the Ruach. So it could be a little symbolic sense in there. I just wanted to put that note. But going back to the curtain, okay? Now that curtain that was in front of the covenant of the law, in that ark of the covenant, has that curtain, but when the son dies, that curtain is torn. Matthew 27:48. Immediately, one of them ran and got a sponge. He filled it with wine vinegar. We talked about that. Put it on a staff of the hyssop, offered it to the son to drink. Some say he did drink it, some say he didn't. The rest said, now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to save him. When the son had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, the tombs broke open. The bodies of many holy people who were asleep in righteousness, who had died, were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after the son's resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding the son saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, surely he was the son of the Father, son of Abba. So with the 10 virgins and the oil, the fruits, the olive tree, the oil is produced from the olive tree, from the olives, from the fruit of the olives. So essentially, if we're thinking about wisdom and the fruits of wisdom, that's supposed to be burning all day and all night. What do you think you're presenting what do you think you're presenting to the Father, to the Son when he comes back? What do you think you're presenting? Those who are wise, when the Son comes back, what do you think you're presenting? The ones who were unwise didn't buy any oil. They didn't have any wisdom when he arrived. If he's looking for those who are worshiping in spirit and in truth, in wisdom, the ones who are wise will have that wisdom when he returns. But the ones who don't, he's literally sitting there and saying, verse 12 in chapter 25, he replied, truly I tell you, I don't know you. So he's telling the wise, keep watch, keep your fruits being purified in him. Keep wisdom, keep working, being a laborer, because you don't know when the day or the hour is going to come when he returns. So you don't ever listen to someone who's sitting there telling you when it's supposed to be the time, because you don't know when it's your time. You don't know when it's specifically the time. When the Father sends him, he's going to come. And that's when we should be ready. With the fruits, with the wisdom that encompasses everything. Everything. So, therefore, my brothers and sisters, make every effort to confirm your election, confirm your calling and election. For if you do these things, you will never stumble, and you will receive a rich welcome into the eternal kingdom of our Ishi Yasha, the Mashiach. I put Ishi on there. If you don't know anything about Ishi, look into it. It's basically my husband, or you can even understand it from Matthew 25, the bridegroom, right, who's coming for his people. And that's ultimately the other word that we're supposed to be using outside of Baal, which is connected to Lord, and which is connected to, it means husband. Baal does mean husband outside of the deity Baal. But the Most High wants us to not call him a master, a Lord, but friend. And we understand that what a friend of the Most High is the one who dwells in wisdom. So now we understand why he wants us to call him friend. Goodness gracious. This is nuts. John 15:15. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not understand what his master is doing, but I have called you friends, because everything that I have learned from my Father with wisdom I have made known to you. So receive a rich welcome into the eternal kingdom of our Ishi, of the bridegroom, the Savior, the anointed one. That's what Ishiyasha the Mashiach means. So we do these things, brothers and sisters, in wisdom, we will be given that passageway. If not, we cannot be with him. So, fruits of wisdom. Making your election sure, the fruits of wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I told some of y'all I had a word. A word indeed. And I'm telling you, I was looking forward to this because I really knew the Most High was gonna, because I needed this. This is something, like I tell you, I study with y'all. He gives me things to be able to speak on, but I need it. My wife and I need it. My children need it. We need this. Everybody needs it. So, all praise to the Most High for his word, for his understanding, for his giving us his wisdom today. Man. Your fruits of wisdom. Think on those things. Fruits of wisdom. Hope y'all enjoyed that. I did put some time, I guess, to yes, all praises. For any discussion that you guys want to have. If you have any comments, any questions, just let me know. Pretty sure I got about 5 minutes. May not need it. Typically, you guys are pretty solid. But if you have any comments, questions, go ahead. That filled me. And don't be a hearer of the word, be a doer. So we got to really seek him with all wisdom. Go listen to, if you can, the Spiritual Warfare series about knowing your enemy. Because especially the sin part, knowing about the sins is very important so that we can understand even more wisdom, so that we can, find out what he wants for us, but not just have it on a conscious level like we have it right now, being able to receive what we're receiving today, but let it be planted in good soil, right? We talked about the subconscious mind. Conscious mind actually connected it with scriptures that made sense of what we're actually doing in this walk. So it's all connecting. These words are all connected. So I'm just grateful. But I will save this one on here and on YouTube as well. But if you don't have any questions, y'all, comments, I will go ahead and end. I will end it in prayer. All right, y'all. Dear Abba, we just thank you so much for your word. We thank you for blessing us and filling those who are seeking you daily, who are truly trying to figure out and walking you in the right ways. Abba, we thank you for steering us straight. For you said that in Baruch, in the first Baruch, that you said that the Israelites would have dwelled in the land safely if they would have sought you, if they would have actually accepted wisdom. You said it, and you've been putting it in your word for us, and you just been showing us this whole entire time. So we ask that we dwell in you safely, because we want to dwell in wisdom. We ask that you help us dwell in wisdom. We ask that you help us bring wisdom to our doorsteps, to us, that we may be able to dwell with wisdom, and make wisdom our wives, our husbands, essentially, as Solomon spoke on and said that he made wisdom his wife. But we want to make wisdom our friend. We want to truly dwell with wisdom, because as we know, as we're dwelling with wisdom, we're dwelling with you, Abba. We're dwelling with you, Yasha. We're dwelling with the Ruach, that is the Spirit, whom is in you, who you created in order for us to dwell in. We ask that we breathe in that breath of life, of the fruits of wisdom that you blessed us with from the very beginning. We ask that we breathe in that same Spirit that you've given us from the beginning, and to truly walk in your ways and not depart from you. I ask that you continue to cleanse our path, cleanse our mind, cleanse our weak nature. Help us get rid of those weak thoughts. Help us truly walk in the ways that we're supposed to. Visit our scriptures and pray and worship in you the way we're supposed to. We ask that you continue to elevate us. And even when we are knocked down, that your discipline never fails us, that we continue to be brought back up as you brought all your people up in your mercy, in your grace, and that we don't ever feel entitled to the time that we have, but we take our time in allowing you to make our fruits perfect. We give you all the praise, glory, and honor, Abba, and the Son. And we love you. In the name of your Son, Abba, we pray. Amen. 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 I think I can eat now. All right, y'all. You can always contact me in the direct messages. Anything. So look forward to having conversations with you guys. Anything that you learn or grow in. Sometimes I'll have to take a break from here too. Just to make sure I'm not hindered or anything like that. But yeah, hope this was awesome for everyone. All praises to the Most High for His word, and truly praying for you guys. Please pray for me especially. These words are very timely, so I'm not. It's not by accident. Not by accident. So appreciate y'all as well, and y'all go enjoy the rest of your day or nights wherever you are. All right, y'all.